Boo! Happy Halloween, everybody! How are we doing out there? It's Friday night, and we are back after a short break last week. Marty and I have returned to entertain you with another episode of Heavy Metallurgy, but we're not alone this week. We have also brought one of our favorites. Oops. Marty and I have returned. Guess what I forgot to do?
Rookie mistake. Bad bear, bad monkey, or whatever.
I am a proud gorilla, I'll have you know.
Okay.
There's a story. We'll probably get to it at some point. But yes, this is Mojo. He's a giant white monkey costume that I've used on more than one occasion.
You should have said guess the animal, because I think a lot of them would not have said monkey. I'm just saying.
They probably wouldn't. That's why I just wanted to get it clear from the start. Mojo does not appreciate being called a dog, bear, or other random rodent-like beast.
I'm assuming you got some mileage out of that monkey suit. I don't want to know what parts of the house that suit has made an appearance.
Let's do introductions, and then I'll get the monkey out of the way. There's an 800-pound gorilla in the room that we should address.
We'll keep it a PG. We'll keep it a PG show, not a
rated X. This is a family stream, by all means. But so yes, Marty has made it back from his travels. Marty, how were your travels?
It was great. Had a great time. Did a little DJing event at Hammer Heart, a metal night over there, and it was great. Had a great time. It was a lot of fun. First time I've ever DJ'd, and brought my box of records and played a bunch of old metal and traditional metal for a bar that typically hears a lot of hazy, dreary black metal, and people seem to dig it. It was fun.
I thought you were going to say cock rock, but okay.
No. Nope.
Very, very cool.
It was a 20-hour drive there and back, but it was worth it. Had a great time.
Awesome. And joining us tonight, one of our favorite returning guests, Rick from the Dreadful Minutes. Rick, thank you so much for hopping on here and helping us out. As you can see, I can use all the help I can get right now. This thing's a little hard to move in. But yes, thanks so much for hopping on tonight.
It doesn't seem like things are going to move up north. You're going south.
Yeah.
That's why the air conditioner was on. That's one of them.
Yeah. It's getting a little hot in here already, and we've only been on for 2.5 minutes. Damn,
you're making me hot. That's all I got to say about that.
Hey, I don't need to know about your sick monkey fetish, Marty. Wait, let's not go there. But no, hope everyone is doing well out there this week. It's Halloween weekend we're going into, and I'm quite sure we're all glad to take a little time at the end of a busy week, have some fun, hang out, and just talk about what kind of records we've been picking up, playing, revisiting lately. But Rick, any projects or things? I know you've had a video lately, and I think you're working on another one. Anything you'd like to let folks know about? What's happening on your channel?
All this little stuff behind me, it's basically what you're going to see in a Halloween video. So I did a little challenge thing, so hopefully we'll see some participations. But I got a movie soundtrack thing going on, so you'll probably see that hopefully tomorrow, if not Halloween day. And so I hope that it's pretty entertaining, because it's stuff I've been picking up throughout the course of the year just for this particular video.
Very cool. Your videos are always a lot of fun, and on Halloween Day, I'll have a response video posted to your Dreadful Halloween Challenge, which has been a pretty fun one to try to put together, too.
Awesome. Yeah, can't wait to see it.
Hey, we got a lot of people in the chat already. People rocking Metal Pluses from Wales. We got someone from Norway, Roger.
Awesome.
Maya's here from Japan. We got the global community joining us tonight.
Who doesn't want to see a giant white monkey talk about heavy metal?
That's right.
But yes. So yes, I'll get the monkey story out of the way so that it doesn't linger all night. This is Mojo. He started life as a giant stuffed animal that you would win at a carnival. One of those giant 7-foot tall things that you have to spend like $50,000 worth of tickets to win. But I didn't get him at a carnival. I found him in a Goodwill store years ago. My roommate and I bought him, and for years he lived on the little porch on our apartment complex. The apartment people tried to kick us out for it, but we pointed out that we were not violating the fire code because the monkey was neither blocking a window nor a door, so they had no grounds for telling us we had to move the monkey. They literally had to rewrite the leases for everybody in the apartment complex to include stuffed animals among things that could not be displayed on the porches of the apartments to get us to take the monkey down.
That's how we end up with stupid rules.
This is how you end up with stupid rules and contracts. I'm to blame. Anybody living in the greater Raleigh, Durham, Chapel Hill area, if your lease says no stuffed animals on the porch, you're welcome. But yeah, so we just had this giant stuffed monkey. Whenever we had parties, we'd like tape a empty bottle into the monkey's hand, and everybody would do shots with the monkey and stuff. But when we went to move, there was no way in hell either of us were going to drag this giant stuffed animal with us. So I de-stuffed him,
which I'm sure you probably had way too much fun eviscerating him.
That was a mistake, because this thing was full of approximately 10 billion tiny microscopic particles of styrofoam that clung to everything with static cling. So yeah, that was a thing. But then I just
people that might be a fetish, like Build-A-Bear. You got the Unbuild-A-Bear kind of version of it.
This was like the deconstruct a bear, but then have every surface in the apartment coated in like a micro thin layer of styrofoam for weeks. But then, hey, after that, he took up residence as a monkey skin rug in future apartments. I am kidding you not. He's been a rug most of his time, but on Halloween, I will break him out, dress up for the students, wander around campus wearing this ridiculous thing. And yeah, I figured what the heck. It'd be a fun one to put on for tonight, and I'll keep it on as long as I can bear it. But he's a monkey, not a bear.
Alan is a furry, is what Aaron is saying. I was about to say the same thing, but he beat me.
Yeah, I can't really read the comments from in here. My face is sinking further and further into the monkey, so whatever fun people are having, that's awesome. If I'm not commenting, it's because, yeah, the monkey is slowly blinding me, as well as dehydrating me, and slowly also crushing my spine with his massive head. It's a thing. Don't say that I'm not willing to suffer for your entertainment here tonight, folks.
Well, I was going to join in the fun, but we couldn't find my kid's costume, so I wasn't going to tear his room apart looking for it. So heck with it. You're the one who gets the gold star tonight, my friend.
I spent half an hour getting my wife to help me cram into this monkey outfit. So yeah, your lack of effort disappoints me, sir.
I know.
I guess I could be disappointed.
Yeah.
That wouldn't tell me going out in the rain to try to find something.
Before we jump into some fun titles, anyone want to share other fun Halloween stories, costumes, or heavy metal themed Halloween events? Marty, have you got a good one?
This is probably the first year our kid isn't going to trick or treat, which is weird, but yeah. We're pretty boring. I don't know. I don't really have any. This time of year was always fun driving around the 8th Street Cemetery, listening to spooky metal songs and albums, and under the full moon, the crisp cold air, and the fall leaves coming down. But I'm sure it's pretty well patrolled these days. There's been some shenanigans there, so yeah, ruins it for everyone.
It's a lot more fun.
50-year-old guy roaming around a cemetery probably isn't. Probably not the smartest thing to do.
Might not work like it did in the old days. You never know. No. Rick, how about yourself?
Well, I stopped trick-or-treating around. See, I got this baby face, right? I had quite a baby face. So I kept that. I milked that shit until I was like 19. So
you were at my door last year getting candy. What are you talking about? I thought you were 16.
I look like a lot of people. So, not saying it wasn't me.
Yeah, pretty boring. What were you gonna do?
But I'm not diabetic for some reason, so that's really, really weird.
I'm working on it.
Well, by this time, if you're not already, I guess that's pretty good.
So did either of you ever dress up as like a heavy metal hero? Did anybody go as Ozzy for Halloween as a kid or anything like that?
I was Ace Frehley.
Hey, there you go. I was Gene Simmons once.
Yep. Ace Frehley. Grade school. Had the mask with the glued on hair.
Yep. Rick, how about you?
As far as musicians, no. I did horror movie monsters. I did Jason Voorhees. I made my own Freddy glove. Stuff like that.
Oh, those are all good. Yep. Yeah, I did Gene Simmons one year when I was teaching, and Halloween was on a night where I had to teach a late lab. It was like a 6 o'clock at night lab on Halloween night. So I figured, what the heck? I'll just get dressed up, go teach dressed up, and then go to the party straight after that. And yeah, you're getting old when had great Gene Simmons costume, had bought a wig, had the hair done up right, did the full face paint, had all kinds of aluminum foil body armor parts and stuff. You go in the room, a few students are there early. Like, oh wow, that's awesome costume, dude. Like, yeah, thanks, great, feeling good about it. And I start putting some things on the board, and there's these two doofus frat boy types sitting in the front row, and I hear them whispering behind my back, dude, what's he supposed to be? And I hear the other one go, bro, I think he's Marilyn Manson. And there was a non-traditional student in the room who's like sitting in the row behind him, and she just lost it. She just starts screaming at them, he's Gene Simmons! Gene Simmons from Kiss! Don't you know who Kiss is? And then she just stops. She's like, oh my God, I'm old. So like, well, this is a fun Halloween. Now we all feel bad.
Was it the complete set? Did you wear the platform shoes too?
I had the platform boots, the whole thing, and I had got some of the other grad students were dressing up as other members of the band. So the lab was off to a rocky start, but we won the costume contest later that night. So it worked out. Okay, well, enough with the random Halloween stories. Tonight, we're going to be visiting What's Spinning, what kind of things we have been listening to along the way. And as always, Rick, you are our guest, so we'll let you take the first stab at this. What's something you've been spinning lately, Rick?
Let's start with some heavy metal. So there's another band from Michigan that has this name called Lucifers Hammer. Let's see if I can get the link down here.
It's not that one though.
Yeah, so this is Lucifers Hammer from Chile, and this is their most recent album, The Trip. And I think if you're gonna listen to bands aping that new wave of British heavy metal, and as far as the last decade or so, this is it, man. These guys are doing it right and hitting that formula. So this, let me see, 7 tracks, and came in this nice little slipcase. So High Roller put this out. So a High Roller does not always put out old stuff. So this is a good example of though they aim to be a fantasy, but it's not all like medieval. You can see here there's like spaceships and things happening in the background. So yeah, it's that kind of fantasy. Think He-Man. Yeah, it's a really, really, really good album. So make sure you look for this logo. They're named after a book, which I never read. But yeah, I mean, the vocalist definitely, he doesn't have a huge range like somebody like Dickinson, but you can tell they're very inspired by the School of Maiden type of heavy metal. There's the, let me see if I can pull it out. Yeah, it's not these guys. That's the other Lucifer's Hammer. But yeah, this is what I've been spinning and really enjoying, and I'm looking to get the rest of the catalog. So I figured, why not just start with the newest and then work my way back. But I've been enjoying it digitally so far. So Lucifer's Hammer, I think it's highly recommended.
Very cool. The name rings a bell, but I have not checked them out yet. So I'll have to put them on the list.
You would never know. It's one of those bands.
Very cool.
I've seen the name around. Obviously, I always perks my interest because there is was a Lucifer's Hammer here in Michigan, but I'm assuming they're quite different from each other.
They're good too, although these guys are still active.
Right on. Okay, Mojo.
All right, let's see what Mojo's been listening to here. Oh, hey, look at that! I wondered where I put those. What have we coughed up first tonight? Boy, it's getting hot in this thing. Oh yeah, this is something. I think this album got a little bit lost in the woodwork. There's been a lot of sort of high-profile heavy metal album releases in the past few months, Iron Maiden, Carcass, and stuff. And I think this one kind of got a little overlooked in the mix, and it's actually quite good. It is the most recent Wolves in the Throne Room album. It's their first on Relapse, and it's a little different from their albums. You know, a lot of their albums in the past have followed a formula where it's about 4 songs, and each one kind of pushes like, you know, the 9 to 11-minute range. Of course, you know, they had the album that was, you know, very different a couple back. This one's you know, a little different. The songs are a bit shorter. There's a few more songs on it, but it works really well for them. It's a very strong album. Kind of like it. It makes it very distinct. While I like all of their albums, sometimes they feel a little bit samey just because they have all been formatted kind of similarly. But yeah, this one feels much more distinct. The songwriting is very strong. The production's really good on it. Several songs that kind of stand out even just on the first few listens. So, and yeah, I didn't really hear many people talking about it because, and I think it just was the time it came out. It got a little bit overlooked with the other top tier band releases out there. But yeah, if you haven't given it a chance yet and you're a fan of that kind of Cascadian black metal stuff, go back and make sure you pick up Wolves in the Throne Room new one, or add it to your list. The holidays are coming. If you've been good, Santa could leave this in your stocking.
I know Nathan Weaver and those guys, they do their own mixing and everything, which is pretty impressive considering the musicianship and the production quality and everything just kind of came together. So
yeah. And yeah, it feels like on this one, like, you know, I mean, they've always been really solid at it, but it feels like on this one, they really, you know, put, you know, their best foot forward. It's a very impressive album. I always get their albums. A lot of times, I'll admit, sometimes it's a case where I'll play it for a week or so and shelve it, and it takes a while to get back to. But this one has stayed in rotation much longer than usual for a new Wolves release. So yeah, really like it. Cool. All right, Marty. I'm going to sit here and sweat and let you show off your first choice for the night.
Well, first of all, there's between 49 and 56 people on the chat. Thank you for hanging with us on what's typically a very busy holiday weekend for a lot of people. Our 27th episode. And thank you again, everybody, for hanging with us. You're helping us grow, and it's cool. We got a lot of cool things coming here in the future, and we'll keep you abreast of that later. But this is probably the album I've been listening to the most since I've gotten it here the last month or so. And it is by the German band Orden Ogen with To the End. Actually, Rick picked me up a record of Veil, I want to say is the name of the... I can't remember the name of the album, but really good. Really turned me on to this band. I picked this up, and so far of the 3 I own, this is my favorite. Very much... German power metal, but there is a bit of a modern edge to it. Imagine a more German sounding, more power metal minded Sabaton, meaning the choruses are super, super, super catchy. Big anthemic, you know, gang yell type choruses. If you're not into this style of power metal, it's probably gonna feel a little too poppy for you, but I dig the hell out of this thing. I've listened to it a million times already, and I'm probably going to track down the rest of their stuff as I go here. But this is the Argentinian pressing for Icarus Records. Excellent stuff. German power metal. They've got a bunch of albums, but I would recommend starting with To the End. Very, very catchy, very heavy, very memorable. Like I said, every song has got, it's like one of those bands where it sounds like they write the chorus first and then construct the song around it. Mm-hmm. But this is awesome. Great album. Listen to it quite a bit.
Very cool.
What was the band name?
What was the what?
What was the band name again, Marty? That sounds interesting, but I'd never heard of it.
Orden Ogen. OrdenOgan. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I struggled with the name too.
It's a weird name.
Like, how do you say this?
Yeah, Marty is all about the hooks. Damn right.
Let me.
Man, I am so burnt out on black metal, and this whole power metal and heavy metal thing has been such a nice change of pace. All in on it.
Let me try to add it to my list here. Orden. That sounds like right up my alley, and I've never even heard the name.
Yeah, good stuff. They got a handful of albums. The 3 I have are all good. The new one I just got, it's really a little too modern. They're getting a little too commercial, but I've only listened to half the album, so it's a little too early to... This is just in the sweet spot, though. Really, really
That's
well
my thing
done.
about a lot of power metal is I do like a little grit in the stuff. If it's a little too too out there and polished, it's a bit of a turnoff. Or it takes a long time to get around.
That's fair. That's a fair critique.
Someone's
And now
asking for an Andreas Marshall cover. Hold on, I'll tell you. Hopefully. Oh shit! It's too small writing. I'm old and blind. I can't read it. Sorry. Look it up online. To the end.
I would look it up, but I can barely operate an ink pen. There's no way I'm typing with this thing on.
All right, Mr. Rick.
Well, you're supposed to monkey. That monkey has paws, so if you had fingers, you can write a little easier. Just saying.
If monkeys had fingers, we'd all be like enslaved to them, like a Charlton Heston movie. So thank whatever gods you worship that monkeys don't have fingers. Food for thought.
All right, so I'm gonna break the average here because you said you're kind of moving away from not moving away, but you just not been into black metal. You've been more into heavy metal and power metal and whatnot. So, but I do have some black metal here, so I figure some people watching may enjoy some of this. Marty, I told you about this band, and this is one I've been kind of just playing back over and over. I really enjoy it. So the band is called this. Yes, this is a tape. They have a CD of this, and this is Ancient. I knew I'd get that. So definitely check out their Bandcamp. But this is Ancient Gate, and so this is called Gate. Yeah, Ancient Gate, Empire Beyond Dusk. So this is it's black metal. But when you look at this, you're not going to get that impression at all. So they are from Argentina, and the thing about this is that if someone were to ask me, describe Argentinian black metal, I would have no idea. So these guys sound quite European. So I guess that's a good thing. A lot of tremolo picking, but still quite a lot of melody in there. They remind me a bit of a more raw Dissection. So if you like Dissection, I figured this would be up your alley. But again, a little more raw, has a little more of a rougher production, but still really good musicianship, really good playing, and really good tape. Again, available on CD. Check out the Bandcamp.
I'm just laughing because Mojo looks like he's drunk.
It's quite distracting.
It is. Other people are like, is Alan Donkey Kong?
They at least have the right species, so that I'm giving them a thumbs up on that. I'm also getting texts from people saying that it looks like I'm about to pass out, so we may have to give Mojo a break here in a minute.
You have to shed your monkey skin.
May have to.
There might be some residual styrofoam balls in there. When you get out, you'll have them stuck all over your face.
This guy's been hollowed out long enough that I think we're good. I hope. I did find 2 dryer sheets inside of him though when I was trying to get onto him, so you never know.
So he needed to be freshened up a bit, apparently.
Every now and then, monkey gets a little stunky.
Oh, okay, there, Skunky Monkey. You're up next.
Okay. Yeah, let's see here. Yeah. An oldie but a goodie. Sometimes you got to revisit the classics, and what's more classic than Unleashed in the East, Judas Priest. Yes, everyone knows it's a fake live album, and I just don't care because it still is an amazing set list, an amazing performance. It's, most of the time for bands, the live album is just kind of like, yeah, it's an extra thing in their catalog. If you're a big fan, sure, whatever. But every now and then bands do live albums that are really a seminal part of their discography. And this is, just as important in Priest's discography as British Steel or Sin After Sin or any of the other albums. The cover picture, is iconic, really galvanizing what the look of heavy metal lifestyle was going to be as you transitioned out of the 70s and into the 1980s. And yeah, it's, Judas Priest, in their prime, doing, killer tracks, from beginning to end. You cannot go wrong with this live album whatsoever. Sometimes you just got to replay the classics. I've been giving this one a few spins lately because I absolutely love it.
Yeah, that's one of those few bands where the live album is also essential, in my mind, along with the rest of the, the studio albums.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, you cannot go wrong with Unleashed. Absolutely not. All right, Marty. I'm going to try to emerge from the monkey while you show us what else you've been listening to.
Right on. Well, we're gonna go with. I played the song Acheron Nomicon off of the first Hellwell album, Beyond the Boundaries of Sin, which some of you will know that this is a Mark Shelton side project from Manila Road, and sounds a lot like Manila Road, except with organ, which makes it sound like heavy Deep Purple influence. But playing that song, best song on the album, really good, heavy, dark song. A lot of stuff about Cthulhu, stuff like that on here. Inspired me to listen to the album, and I've been listening to it a lot. They put out 2 albums before he passed, and both of them are quite good. The second one's a little thrashier than this one, but this is an excellent album. And again, if you like that the later day Manila Road sound, this, you could tell he recorded this in his home studio. It's very kind of a murky sound, but it's clear. You can hear everything. It sounds like Manila Road. Shelton does a lot of singing on it, although I think Hell Roadie does some stuff. Brian Patrick does some stuff on it too. Excellent stuff. Great album.
That 1 disc or 2?
It's 1 disc. It comes with a massive booklet telling the story of the. I've got the record too. The record comes with a massive booklet with it, and 1 CD. It's really good stuff. Again, check out Hellwell if you're into Manila Road. It makes me wonder why this wasn't a Manila Road album, to be honest, other than the organ. The organ kind of sets it a little bit apart, gives it that Deep Purple vibe, but excellent stuff.
Yep. Yeah, it came out. I mean, Shelton was pretty active around that time. Manila Road albums were coming out at a pretty good clip. I kind of assumed it was just like he had so much music he couldn't really. He needed another vehicle to release some of it, and so it's kind of made sense to have a second band going for a little while. But that's just conjecture on my part. I can't prove that. I never read that he in an interview or anything.
Yeah,
it's a nice problem to have when you're got so much creative output. Having your band's not enough. This other, it isn't like when Dickinson left Iron Maiden and he had just started doing solo albums. He wasn't doing that along while he was in Maiden. As an example.
Yeah, he didn't have enough material to work with when he left Maiden.
Yeah.
I'm just glad that the guy lived long enough and they got Manila Road back together, and the second half of his career, he could actually see the fruits of his labor.
Mm-hmm.
The first half of his career, he was putting out probably the seminal material that everybody still looks up to this day as the classic era, but no one gave a shit. Very few people gave a shit about Manila Road back then, and it's sad because it was excellent music ahead of its time in a lot of ways. Even though he did kind of bend the style to fit whatever was kind of hot. I mean, when thrash was hot, was it Open the Gates had a very thrashy feel to it. He kind of adopted some of those influences here and there, but I'm just glad before he passed, he got to enjoy the popularity that came around a second time, playing the big festivals and stuff. So more power to him.
Yeah, every now and then you do get to hang around long enough to get recognized for stuff that you did, and that was cool.
All right, it is Rick.
Okay, so something came in the mail, and I forgot I ordered it. It actually came from a recommend. Somebody watching right now, Human Falafel. So I think he knows the people in this band. So this is a band, funny enough, from Argentina, like the last one I showed. So this is a tumba de carne, which I believe means flesh tomb, if I'm not mistaken, or my Spanish may not be as well as I think it is. But ordered this from their Bandcamp, and this is called De Catixis Perpetua Altar. And just looking at how muddy that cover is, you can tell there's something kind of murky and dirty about it. So it's quite technical. It falls into depth, but it's a little grindy. I would almost describe it as imagine if Gore Guts went more grindcore. That's kind of how I envision this in a way. So production is pretty good, but not too clean and polished. It still has enough of that sort of dirty grit to it. That people who generally like the grind stuff would enjoy. So yeah, it's all in Spanish, so lyrical content may not be your thing if you seek something like this out. But I'll leave the name in the comments again because it's in Spanish. But very good recommend. Thank you, Human Falafel. I did enjoy this. So I don't know if I gave him a heads up that I decided to check this out. Yeah, he's friends with them. I think you mentioned that. So pretty cool. The tumba de carne. So if you like your depth, a little bit of grind, a little more technical, this will be up your alley.
Mm-hmm. Very cool. And yeah, if anybody missed it, Human Falafel was on stream last week. He jumped on Jeff's stream about, I believe it's Front 242. Frontline Assembly. I knew I was going to pick the wrong one. I don't know those bands very well at all, but yeah, it was very cool to see Falafel appear on camera and contribute to that topic for a bit. Wasn't one I knew about, but it was interesting to listen to and really cool to see you on camera there. You did a great job, Falafel.
I have yet to visit that. I've been a little behind, and you miss a week's worth of videos. It's like, oh my God, there's so many of them.
Yeah, he's very well known here. He's on all our streams and appears very very knowledgeable.
No, he's always in the chat and commenting on stuff. So it was really cool to actually see him live and did a great job contributing, I thought.
Okay, Alan.
All right. Wow, I can actually see things now. Amazing.
You got a monkey on your back.
Yeah, I'm working on that. Some issues are a little hard to get rid of. There's always that 800-pound gorilla in the room you just can't get rid of.
Yep.
Okay, this is one I picked up not too long ago over at Heavy Metal Museum, which I tend to order from pretty regularly. And it's an anthology by a new wave of British heavy metal band called Wicked Vicar, with one of the best misspellings of any 80s metal band ever. Gotta love that.
They really worked at that one.
They did, and they nailed it. They absolutely nailed it.
It's one of my favorite.
Every band wishes they had come up with that name and spelled it that badly. But yeah, this is the classic tale of new wave of British heavy metal band that did one very obscure single. They had one track on one of the Ebony Records compilations. I believe it was the Metallic Storm volume that they had one song on. Yeah, and they did a couple of demo recordings of it. Never got anything else out, and that was it. Really, forgotten. But yeah, Cult Metal Classics got in contact with them, and digging through their tapes, they managed to come up with a solid 10 tracks to put together an anthology set with. This is the kind of thing, it's worth noting. Is all the music on here amazing? No, I'm not going to lie and make it bigger than it is. I like, Black of the Night. I thought that was an awesome song on their single. The flip side was kind of average. The track on the compilation album I never did care for. A couple of the unreleased songs on here are quite good. There's one called Phoenix. That's a really strong new wave of British heavy metal number. Yeah, some of the others are okay. Some of them are misses. But this collection overall is still a pretty good one. A lot of times these anthology collections, they don't quite have enough on them to make it worth the bother. It's always interesting to read a little bit more about the band and such, but musically, a lot of these bands only had a handful of songs to start with. The odds that all of them are really, really good and have held up, not so great. But this one I think it had enough decent tracks on it that I'm glad I picked this one up. And there's a nice booklet talking about the band. They went, of course, through lineup changes, changed their name late in the game, and didn't really help them or anything. But yeah, if you're into the very, very obscure end of new wave of British heavy metal, then yeah, Wicked Vicar has gotten the anthology treatment. So check it out when you get the chance.
Gotta love that uncensored cover artwork.
Let's see.
Fucking crazy.
Well, this is the slipcase booklet, which you can compare to the cover and decide. So there we go. If that's any better.
There you go. Much better.
Alrighty.
Hey, if someone says the new Running Wild was released today, I will have to investigate that.
Oh yeah, I forgot. I knew it was coming out around now, but I've been monkeying around too much and forgot to check up on it.
Yes.
I think your patch was a bit of a reminder. It's like, oh yeah.
Yeah. All right, Mr. Rick. No, wait, it's me.
Yep, Mr. Marty.
All right, I succumbed to the hype machine. Had to pick this up. Benediction is not one of my favorite bands from the English scene. I really love Transcend the Rubicon. I like Subconscious Terror, but they've put out a lot of stuff over the years. It's really pretty average and kind of lackluster, boring. This has got shit. What the hell is his name? The singer. Dave Ingram. Dave Ingram is back in the band, and it's pretty good. It's pretty good. It gets a little long towards the end, but Ingram is produced really well. Sounds really dense and nasty. The riffs are super simple. It reminds me of could have been the follow-up to Transcend the Rubicon. Not maybe as complex, but yeah, I liked it. Listened to it a few times on my trip to Minnesota, and it's good. Good, solid. It's not groundbreaking. Everybody is kind of talking it up like it's a second coming, but it's not that good. But it's an enjoyable album. I'm glad I checked it out for sure.
I never thought it was a second coming. I'm glad they kept consistent with that one. Like, just sometimes that's all you want, just what you've been enjoying the whole time.
Everyone's gonna pass out.
Like the beautiful butterfly from a cocoon.
It looks like you're wearing a penis suit right now. Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks, Marty. Straight in the ears, right to the feelings. Okay.
I'm not saying you are a penis. It looks like you're wearing a penis suit. If I had a penis suit, I'd be wearing it right now. Totally.
That's a matter between you and your therapist. So, Rick, why don't you get us back on track while I get out of this damn monkey costume?
All right, why don't I just show a classic? Got a reissue, Aggressor, from France. Never Ending Destiny. So it falls under that Death Thrash. This came out in 1990? Really early back in the day. So glad they kept that. Every time I see this, I think of Unicron from Transformer.
All right.
Looks just like it. I don't know. It's just really good stuff. Really hits the spot. Really good riffing. Very aggressive. Well, I think the name kind of gives it away, but they managed to reissue it as this cool like red. And check this out. They have a notch. I don't know if you guys ever seen that. That's so weird. I saw that. I've never seen that before. I guess it makes it easier to pull out. But yeah, really cool red reissue. So I'm glad they kind of went this route. But yeah, it became this nice booklet. Got all the old photos and articles and all kinds of stuff. So another old band. They're one of the, I think between them and who was the other one? Loud Blast, who came on the scene and as far as that country with the death and thrash, they were one of the early guys to do this. But really happy to have it, Aggressor. So if you guys have not checked them out, definitely should.
The band. Alan.
I can breathe again. Sweet, sweet oxygen. Okay. Well, let's do some vinyl. This is another one that I got from Gary in that same order with the Wicked Vicar. It's a band that I talked about on stream, Marty, when we talked with Hot Simon about metal from other countries. And this is an anthology of material by the Netherlands band Future Tense. Mm-hmm. Most folks know this band because they had one song on Metal Massacre 5. And they got kind of overlooked on that compilation. They were, I think, the only European band on that volume. And that volume has, a lot of big name acts on it with Hellhammer and Fate's Warning, Metal Church. I think Voivod's on that one too. So Future Tense, they had a great song, and they were probably like the eighth in line on that compilation volume. But yeah, they did a cool mini LP back in the day. It's really hard to find now and kind of expensive. So, but I got poking around. I was like, I really should try to pick up some of their stuff. And this was a nice anthology. It's 2 LPs. Came out in 2014. So it's got the mini LP and a couple of demos from back in the day, and also an EP that they did when they did sort of a reunion gig around 2003. So, really nice collection of the band's stuff. Some of their tracks lean very speedy, and those are okay. They're very straightforward, standard fast European mid-'80s metal. The best tracks are when they slow down a little bit more and they get, a little bit more of sort of a doomy, darker vibe to the music. Tracks like Sword of Vengeance and Condemned to the Gallows, those are when the band were really at their strongest, at least in my opinion. But yeah, even the faster ones are good enough tracks, but those slower ones really stand out in the catalog. So yeah, just another very obscure one from back in the day, and since I can't seem to track down the original for a decent price, yeah, this collection will hold me over quite nicely until I do find an original copy.
I was going to say something about the artwork. Someone already did. It's just, I don't know. It's another one of those, they paid their neighbor's nephew to.
This is very much that, while nobody was looking, one of them snuck into the local second grade classroom and nicked a couple of things off the blackboard that Jimmy and Sally had drawn for homework. And yeah, I figured that'd be so totally true cult underground killer to put on an album cover. And they were wrong. They were horribly, horribly wrong. But the music is great.
Right on.
All right, Mr. Marty, while I start rehydrating, what have you got next?
Another one that everybody's been talking about. I had to get it. New Carcass.
Mm.
And you know what? It's really good. It is basically all the eras of Carcass on one album. And thankfully, a lot of people come around these days saying they like Swan Song, which I don't get that. But the Swan Song, the groovy Swan Song stuff is in minimal supply here, thankfully. But even the Dance of Ixtab, it was their second song they released, which I didn't like. Hearing the whole album, it sounds like it fits, it's in place. The sound is really pristine, really super clear production. The guitars sound mean but clear. Jeff Walker sounds great. This is a really well done album. Bill Steer has really evolved into a fantastic guitar player, and when he comes at these grind riffs where there's actually blasting, his riffing style is like no one else. The riffs he comes up with are completely atypical, super unique, and it really gives this album a good kick. Again, beginning to end, it's really enjoyable. Is it as good as Surgical Steel? I think Surgical Steel was a little bit more on the aggressive side. This is a little more well-rounded. I think I like the aggressive nature of Carcass. My favorite albums are Symphonies of Sickness and Necroticism. Forever. They will forever be. And I do enjoy Heartwork, but that does not sound like an album by a band named Carcass. It sounds a little too slick, a little too polished. This continues on with the slick, polished evolution of Carcass, but it's really good. There's a lot of good twists and turns on this album. Definitely worth the hype.
I've questioned the name, Carcass over time because it seemed more fitting with their earlier material.
Sure.
You showed the Benediction, which they were more of the same, but kind of revisiting the classic era. But I think Carcass are one of those bands where they kind of stepped it up in a lot of ways with the production and everything. I like it better than the Surgical. I like Surgical, but I do like this one. Maybe because it's fresh to me and I'm just, enjoying it for now. And might have to revisit it a few months from now to see where that stands.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm still kind of wrapping my head around it. I picked it up. I've played it some, and it's good. The sound production and stuff on it is amazing. It hasn't really grabbed me just yet. I think it will, given some enough time for it to sink in. But yeah, it hasn't jumped out as like instant classic to me. If I'm going to nitpick on something, I'm going to say I hate the packaging. I think
it's unique and kind of classy. I don't know. I kind of like it.
It doesn't. It is different, but to me, if it was just like the front and back images, that's fine. But the fact that every page in the book is just another picture of the sculpture where it's slightly more decayed. It's like okay, we get it. And the next page is kind of the same. Next page is kind of the same. It seems like a lot of wasted space in a way that they're just kind of doing the same thing. It's a very minor nitpick, but I don't know. it just kind of irked me for some reason.
A lot of people are chiming in on the new Carcass.
No surprise there.
Yeah.
No surprise there at all.
That's a
That's
hot
been
one.
one of the most anticipated releases of the year, I think.
Yeah, for sure. Right, Mr. Rick.
Well, I did some more high roller shopping. So this is another band, though they're not a new band, but this is a reissue. Guys may know this band, Ritual. I don't know if it looks familiar at all. They got a very weird.
Yeah, hold it up, Rick. I think I know which one it is. Can you hold it closer? Yeah, is it the British Ritual?
Yeah, they're from London.
Yes, excellent band.
Valley of the Kings. So this is their second full length. Widow was the one before this one. And yeah, like I said, they have a very, very weird history. They formed in the 70s. Well, according to Metal Archives, 73, which metal was not really quite a thing yet, right? Like, I mean, Sabbath and those guys were around. You do hear a little bit of that kind of stuff in there, but it's you know, they took a long break, and then Widow came out in 83. This came out in 93. And when this dropped in 93, I'm just thinking, like, who is picking up this kind of material by that time? You know, it had such an old sound. They didn't really change their sound since the last album. But all that said, it's really good. It's very melodic, really good soloing. You know, it just, again, it's just that old sounding early 80s heavy metal. And but as far as this release here, I enjoyed Winds of Fire is a really good one.
Yeah.
The second half of this it just gets stronger and stronger as it progresses. Really, really good album. It falls under the it looks very doomy in a way, even though, you know, it's got a bit of that. It's called Ritual, so it's got a little bit of that stuff going on. Yeah, really good artwork all around. It's just too bad that they couldn't keep it going. So it's one of those bands where you wonder what could have been, you know, if they just put out things consistently. But for what it was, you know, it is another one that I'm glad High Roller put out. But I really did enjoy it, so definitely recommended.
Oh yeah. Okay, Rick, you've picked one of my pet bands, so I have to geek out for a minute or two here. Yeah, Ritual's a very cool band with a very murky history. The things about, you know, going back to 73 and such, there's debate about whether those dates are accurate or not.
I was questioning that too.
Yeah, the two albums you mentioned were reissued by Shadow Kim Records about a decade ago, somewhere around 2009 or so. And the main guy in the band is this fellow named Gypsy Rebeth. And, you know, he did like an extensive sort of interview set of liner notes for the reissue of Widow. And a lot of it just does not jive with other things in recorded history. In talking to folks, it seems pretty clear that Gypsy must have embellished quite liberally some of the band's history. He references that they, you know, actually, you know, released some singles in the 70s and that they had hits overseas in places like South Africa, and there's just no evidence of that anywhere.
He went full Corthon.
Very much so. Yeah, he was kind of channeling, you know, the Corthon or the you know, Steve Sylvester, you know, from Death SS kind of let's make this big mythos about the band if we can. So yeah, it's really hard to know what's accurate because there's never been much written about the band. They were so obscure that when Malcolm McMillan wrote the New Wave of British Heavy Metal Encyclopedia, the band is listed under the name Widow instead of Ritual because there was so little about them. He wasn't even sure what the band's name was.
Well, that's the thing. When you look at the cover of Widow, it's a big giant widow on it. You don't see Ritual anywhere in there.
That's right, yeah. And the deal with that is supposedly it was a misprint. It was supposed to have the Ritual logo up in one corner of the cover, and it got left off. And there's always been rumors that there are copies, that the numbers that Gypsy and other people had quoted was that there were 2,000 copies. The first 1,500 were misprinted with no logo, and then like the last batch, you know, they got the logo put on the cover. I have never seen an original copy with the logo on tacked. Every copy you see online, when you look closely, it's a later reissue, like from High Roller or somebody. So, but they did the two albums. They did make a single, a 7-inch single with a picture sleeve in the early 90s too. That's really, really good. And yeah, everything you said about them is, you know, spot on. They've got They have kind of an atmospheric sound, but it's not full on doomy.
Yeah.
Gypsy's a very talented guitarist. But yeah, they just never did much material. The Widow album came out around '83, got no attention whatsoever. You have to dig to find any reference to it at all, even in the publications of back from the day. Valley of Kings was kind of the same way. This is the original CD pressing of it, and I got this from oh shoot, I'm drawing a blank. The fellow in Solstice, Walker. Yeah, got me a copy of that. This is the Shadow Kingdom version of that one, Rick. And it's another of Valley of the Kings, and yeah, it's a great album. It has that same sound. Winds of Fire is one of the standout tracks on it for sure. But that's been pretty much.
Is that a thing when they change distributors and they got to change the artwork? It's like I always wondered about that.
Yep, but yeah, that's been about it. The only other things I've ever seen confirmed that were put out were a couple of like CD promo things that Gypsy did sometime in the early to mid '90s. I've found one of the two. I've not been able to find the other one. But this has a couple of. It has a really nice instrumental song on it. It's got a beautiful song called "Dancing Girl" on it that's very reminiscent of Black Sabbath's "Air Dance." And yeah, these were just like little promotional things that were sent out, I guess, to try to get him a little bit of attention at the time. But like you said, it's not a style that would have been at all popular in the early and mid '90s. He couldn't have been more out of place. He supposedly has a legacy as sort of a guitar tech, building custom guitars and putting them together with sort of high-end materials and stuff. Okay, don't know. But yeah, a really cool band. If folks are interested, they should look it up.
Done it, I think had they continued. I mean, they had songwriting skills were there. Everything was there. So.
Yeah, he's got the guitar skills. Yeah, he's got the songwriting chops. I don't know if it was just that. Yeah, he couldn't keep a band together, or just wrong place, wrong time, or what. But yeah, it's a cool band. It's not a well-known one, but and it's not for everyone. Some folks will listen to those albums and feel like they're a little too minimalistic, that there's not quite enough going on to keep their interest. But yeah, if you like that sort of more atmospheric, subdued kind of stuff in your new wave of British heavy metal, you'll really like Ritual.
Yeah, they remind me of Big and Altus and a little bit of Witchfind. I hear a little bit of that kind of stuff in there.
Yep, that's a fair comparison, absolutely. Yeah, Rich Walker, thanks, Michael Hudson. Yeah, Rich Walker helped me get that original version of Valley of the Kings, because it was one of those CDs I just obsessed over. So it's like, I've got the reissue on vinyl, I've got the reissue on CD. I'm a sick monkey. I need the original CD as well. Really was a sick monkey earlier tonight. But yeah, sorry to sort of hijack your pick there. But yeah, that Ritual's a band I love to geek out about a bit.
You're up, sir.
Ah, crap! Now I got to talk about something else. Okay, well, let's talk about a great big stone fist. This is Fist, but which Fist? This is the Canadian one, not the British one. They did this album, Thunder in Rock, and for an early '80s release, how much more heavy metal looking could you get, considering that the band name is spelled correctly? This is one of those things I found at a record show in like the dollar bin pretty early on when I started listening to heavy metal. And it was very much just the kind of thing, I have a rare chance to be at a record show. It's $1. Even I can afford that. It looks heavy metal. It's got to be good. And recently revisited for the first time in ages. It's kind of weird. It's kind of straddles that early metal and hard rock sound. It definitely leans a little more commercial friendly. It is a very loud album. It's the kind of thing you could see being played in big stadiums with tens of thousands of people chanting and all. But they've got keyboards that sound a little dated. They have a very good sense of melody. They know how to write like a good catchy little hook here and there. But you could tell they were definitely wanting radio play with this. These guys were not going die hard denim and leather forever or anything. They were hoping to get on whatever the Canadian equivalent of MTV was. Maybe they had MTV. I have no idea. But yeah, so it's an uneven album, but it has a couple of songs that are fun just because they are very kind of bombastic and they're loud enough to be fun despite some of their shortcomings. When they got released, this got licensed in Europe, and they put it out under the name Myo Fist, M-Y-O Fist. For I don't know. I guess they were concerned it was going to get confused with the new wave of British heavy metal band Fist, and so they kind of, just like a lot of British bands, they always had UK stuck at the end of the album or band name when they got released in America. Oh, it happened the other way too. Canadian bands got their monikers all mangled. But and they did a second album. They did stick around for one more album. I have never heard the second one. It's called In the Red, I think. Something about red. I never checked that one out. But yeah, this one, it's just a good example that, very early 80s where kind of party, kind of fun, kind of heavy. Yeah, it's all those things still mixed together. Metal hasn't really separated itself out from popular music completely, but it's definitely moved away from most of the 70s influences as well. So kind of a cool, goofy one that I hadn't played in forever.
The thing about that is, if I walk into the store and I saw that just sitting there, I would think with the fist and all that, like they're trying a little too hard. I'm gonna say that's Christian metal. It just suspiciously looks like Christian metal to me. I don't know. You're trying too hard. There's something going on here.
It very, and you nailed it, Rick. It really does reek of these guys are trying really hard to impress you with being heavy, and when you listen to it, they're heavy, but they're not really that heavy.
All right, I guess I'm up.
You are up.
We're going to continue with my German metal fetish. This is the latest album by Scanner, The Judgment. This band never really seemed to retake the throne that they claimed on Hypertrace, the band's debut. By far their best album. Absolutely stunner of a European power metal album. Ranked right up there with early Halloween. This finds the main singer, or the main band member that's been there since the beginning, is a guitar player, Axel Julius. He did all the music and lyrics on this. He is the only surviving original member, and this is a ripper album. It's really good. This comes after the album came before it, Scantropolis, which had the singer Lisa Croft. And honestly, I really did not enjoy that record. Lisa sounded completely out of place on that album. Just didn't fit. It didn't seem right. I like some of the albums that came before those, but this is definitely Scanner back on track. FTB, Fuck the Bastards, lead off track, total ripper. It sounds like old Scanner, a little bit more modern production edge. The songs are really well done. The singer, I don't know his, let me see if I can find him here. He's worth noting because he's quite good, and he sounds like their early singer. It is okay, I can't even pronounce his name. It looks like it's a Greek name. I have no idea. I can't pronounce it. But it's good shit, leading back to Hypertrace a little bit in feel, and old school power metal / speed metal ferocity. Excellent album. I don't know if this band's continuing on or not. So it says they are active. So the last thing they put out was a compilation in 2017. The Judgment, this came out in 2015. So it's been a lot of years. Hopefully they're still going on. This is a great album.
I have not heard that one. After the first two, I've heard some, but not all of them. So I'll have to keep an eye out for that one.
The artwork looks very CG. That's the problem with some of that stuff. I look at it and I'm like, oh, know the name.
Yep.
It has to be done a certain way. Just it's a little too photoshopped or something about it. But that's just me.
All right. It is Rick's turn, and he is back for the attack.
So, got another tape for you. So, this is Ceres. Came recommended to me by Brian Arkham. So gave me the link, and I went to check it out. So it's kind of what you see here. Let me put out the J card. So it's traditional heavy metal, epic heavy metal, treading on that sort of power territory. So this guy on a horse. There are horse samples in the very beginning of this, so you get some of that if that scratches that itch. So it's a 4-song EP. If you want the CD, so Storm Spell put out the CD version of this. I got this one through Life After Death. So pretty cool. So the thing about this is that this is the band's first foray into heavy metal. The guy named Jesse Bagley, it's actually in a bunch of black and thrash bands. If you know Horse and Hooves, Impure, another band called Spite. So he has that kind of background. So it was very interesting to see that he went and is trying out something kind of like this. Very nice first attempt. So it left me hungry enough to know, what else, if they're even going to continue this project. But oh yeah, it's called Tyrant's Rise. That's the name of the EP. So it's pretty cool. I think the thing about these 4 tracks is it really hinges on keeping that sort of that really galloping kind of sound. It happens throughout the whole EP. So they kind of just, I guess, ride on that. But overall, it's a really good listen. But there's still room to grow. But definitely recommend it. If this is your thing. But definitely recommend it. Again, if you want the CD, you get it from Stormspell. It might be under Bandcamp too.
Right on.
Yeah, Stormspell's a cool label. They've always, I forget the guy's name, Jordan, I think. He's always got good sales and some cool stuff. So a good one to order from. He often does a like a Black Friday-ish sale. So if you're thinking about ordering some stuff in the near future, keep an eye out for announcements from him because he might have a good sale going on in just a couple of weeks.
I did the sale last year. It took like 2 months for my stuff to arrive. Not that I'm complaining.
Oh, wow.
It was quite a lot of stuff. I'm sure there was a lot of orders. So, but I think everybody was waiting a long time for their stuff. But it arrived. It was fine, But
yeah, he's usually shipped pretty fast for me. But here lately, there's no accounting for how long things will take to get in the mail.
All right, Malin.
Okay, well, since we're all looking at sort of some German power metal-y stuff, it's time to talk about this one, which Marty sent me this one in his never-ending quest to bring everyone over to the Andy Darris side of the Halloween discography.
Simon, if you're watching, get ready because we're going to have a little spell of Halloween here, just so you know. Simon, don't hang up yet. Anyway, go ahead.
But this is one. This was the last Halloween album I bought when it was released back in the day. I bought this when it came out around 98, maybe 99, and played it a few times, did not get into it at all. Had gotten pretty disillusioned by the band at that point, and so that was it. I was done with Halloween for a long time after that. Still played the older, pre-Chameleon stuff, but had no interest in these for a long time. So, Marty's been working on getting me back into some of these, and there are some good albums that they've done with Andy that I did not know about. This one, I'm going to say, it is still not my favorite album. Revisiting this, I see why I lost interest in this band.
You're wrong.
And I know that's an unpopular opinion. A lot of folks rank this one pretty high from the Andy Darris albums. There are some great songs on here.
Revelation, fucking A.
There, Falling Higher is great. Push is great.
Yep.
What happens here, in my opinion, this is just my interpretation on the album. It does the exact same thing that the 2 albums before it had done. It starts off really good. It gives you 2 or 3 really strong songs. It really builds a lot of momentum, and then it just falls flat on its face by right around track 5. On this one, it's the track that just Don't Spit on My Mind. Just
I like it.
That's quite okay. That's cool if you do. It just completely sucks the energy back out of the album, and it takes from there on out. It sputters back and forth. Revelation, it was all right, but I Can, Handful of Pain, yeah. I like the closer, Midnight.
Great song, great chorus.
Yeah, I like the closer, Midnight Sun, but there's just too many. There's too many. And again, it's not that any of the songs are really horrible other than Spit on My Mind, but it did the exact same thing the two albums before it had done. I was interested in hearing it when it came out because it was one of my favorite bands, and it starts off really good and revs up, and then it just kind of sputtered, and it was very uneven through the backside. And so by the third time that happened, it's just like, fuck this. This band can't quite seem to get a full album put together anymore. And as I've commented before, by that time too, I was listening to a lot more extreme metal stuff. I was not listening to as many power metal bands.
Oh, we all were.
And when I was listening to power metal, I was listening to stuff like Blind Guardian. And at that time, Blind Guardian, they had lapped the entire field of power metal bands. They were so far ahead of what other groups were doing. It was just like, why am I going to listen to this when I could be listening to Nightfall in Middle Earth or Imaginations from the Other Side? And the Running Wild albums from that time frame are excellent as well. I could be listening to Black Hand In. So yeah, it's certainly not a bad album overall. It's got some great songs, but for me, I don't rank it as high as a lot of folks do even now. And I see why this album was a turnoff to me. Not just because I was listening to different styles of metal, but it followed that same weird pattern of just losing all the energy right there in the middle of the album. And after that had happened, 3 albums in a row, yeah, they just lost me for a while. So thank you for sending it down, Marty. It was really good to check it back out. And again, there are some great songs. Falling Higher is one of their best songs ever. I love that track. I can just play that one on repeat. And I rarely put an individual song on repeat much. So yeah, there's some great stuff there. But yeah, there are others in the Dares catalog that I'm liking much, much more than I'm liking better than Raw. But that might be a topic for another night's conversation. We'll see. All right, Marty. What is next on your list?
Well, since we're on the Halloween thing, I spent 20 hours total driving back and forth to Minnesota. So it gave me a lot of time to spend with some Halloween albums. And we're going to just kind of lump these together here. We're going to go with these 3. Rabbit Don't Come Easy, Gambling with the Devil, and The Dark Ride. For those of you that think middle era Dares is lame, man, you don't like good heavy metal, because it's even the poppy songs are good. They're so well written. This band just knows who they are. Even on this album, The Dark Ride, this is when you can tell they were obviously polluted a little bit by the Seattle thing. They tuned down on some songs, like on Revelation 666. Not the best song on the album, but man, there's some great songs on here. The If I Could Fly, it's a pop song, but it's good. What song is it? Oh shit, I don't know. There's some great songs on here. I really enjoy it. Rabbit Don't Come Easy, very solid album. Again, there's some poppy songs on here, but they're very well written. Mickey D plays drums on this. He sits in studio musician. I think this is Sasha Gershner's first album with the band. Really solid. Don't Stop Being Crazy, Just a Little Sign, Open Your Life, Never a Star, Never Be a Star. Great song, great album. And Gambling with the Devil. This is probably one I'm not as familiar with. I spent a lot of time with it. It's a great album from beginning to end mostly. There's a couple songs they fall off a little bit, but it's really solid, really heavy, well written, excellent songwriting. Then I said, you know what? I'm going to sit down with this fucking album uninterrupted in a car, and I'm going to listen to it from beginning to end and see if
I'll be back.
As terrible as I thought it is. And you know what? It's not a good Halloween album. It's interesting. I'll give it interesting. There's a lot of talent on here. Kiska sounds great. There's some interesting layering of vocals. This is supposed to be a solo, like all the guys in the band doing their own solo stuff, putting it together. It's weird. It's not something I'm probably going to reach for again. Enjoyed it, but it's still not that good. And of course, I spun this because it rules. I've already talked ad nauseum about that. So yeah, there you go. Rick.
The problem with Chameleon is it looks like a prog rock album. Like, just looking at with the whole simplicity, it could be Yes for all we know. Like,
yeah, it's just not. It's not them at their best. There's a couple okay songs on it. It's just weird. It's 71 minutes, which is way too. You should have worn that on your head. But yep, check out Middle Era Darius era. It's great.
Don't check out Chameleon. Emojis say it all sometimes.
Roger says Darius is good, but it's not the Halloween we grew up with. You know what? It's not, but in a lot of ways, he saved Halloween because this is where Halloween was at. Okay?
Yeah.
It was a train wreck. The band was a mess. And Pink Bubbles Go Ape, it has some good songs on it, but it's not a great Halloween album.
I'm going to give it half an emoji.
Yeah, he saved the band. And he put out great stuff. Anyway, Rick.
I don't know. If you want to make everything better, you just get Mickey D on everything. He makes other drummers behave. If you don't show up at rehearsal, I'll get Mickey D. He'll make everything better. So this is a new pickup, and you know, I've had my situation happen earlier in the month. And one thing that helped me cope with, you know, with everything that happened, is this band out of Germany. It's called Flame Dear Flame. So they tread on that, I hate to call them doom metal, although they do have some of that influence in there. So it's female-led vocals. Her name is Maren Lemke, and she doesn't do that sort of vibrato kind of register kind of singing. It's very clean. It's not quite, if you're expecting like Smolder or something like that, it's not quite that. But done very, very tastefully. As far as the production, it's very well rounded. Nothing is too front and center. Like the guitar's not too in your face. The vocals are not too up front in the mix. Everything just comes together really good. One of the influences they cited was Atlantean Codex. So I do hear some of that in here. So if you like that band, check these guys out. They got some really good riffing, a lot of pretty good melody. This was put out by Eisenwald over in Canada. So I put an order with them recently. Flame Dear Flame. The album's called AEGIS, Aegis. So if you guys are curious. But again, this is a really easy listen. But it also jams. It's pretty good stuff. So definitely recommend it.
You perked my ears with Atlantean Codex. That's probably one of the best things Alan's ever turned me on to. Holy shit.
You said the magic 2 words there, Rick. So yeah, gotta check that one out.
You got a little bit of that, a little bit of some of the other doom bands too. So it's but again, I think they're probably closer to that.
Hey, Pat's here. Hey, Pat.
Hello, Pat.
Hey,
Hope
Pat.
unpacking and settling in is going well.
He didn't change his name, but he changed his channel name.
He did?
Did he? He did, but then
He was talking about it.
He had a poll thinking that he might walk it back, and a lot of folks seem to be trying to convince him to keep it the way it was.
I thought he did.
Yep. Well, we miss you, Pat. I can't wait to see the new man cave.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be sweet.
Yeah, we all
Anyway.
are.
Who is next? Alan's next.
Okay. Well, another classic that's kind of made it back in rotation. Although this one, maybe it's a classic, maybe it's a semi-classic. I'm not sure. I'll be interested to hear y'all's opinions on this particular one. I had it long ago, and it was the only one of sort of his classic albums I was missing, or at least from the classic period. So I picked this back up.
Oh, right on.
Dio's Sacred Heart. What do we think about Dio's Sacred Heart, fellas? Does it deserve to be up there with the other albums? Should this be last in line compared to the other albums?
The
See what I did there.
It's a better than Dream Evil. I do like Dream Evil a little more. Maybe because I listened to that before that one.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I would probably rank that maybe right after Dream Evil for me.
Yeah. I think I'm putting it in the same place. I'm thinking of those original 4 albums, it's fourth. But it's not a bad album. It is definitely kind of the cleanest sounding album. It's
very produced.
Yeah, it feels like, if there was ever a time he was trying to go for, sort of a bigger, I really hate to say the word commercial sound, because these aren't songs you would have expected to hear on commercial radio, really, but they come closer than anything else.
Rock and Roll Children had a video. It was a hit.
Yeah, I forgot about that one. So yeah, there was some flirtation with it there, but for that style, it's still a pretty good album.
It is.
So yeah, it's just one. Again, I had it on cassette back in the day and had never got around to picking it up. And there's used bookstores just like, a lot of these songs are pretty solid. Like Rick, I agree. I think though, Last in Line and Dream Evil, I think those have to come before this one. But this one should not have left
Rising. It's no Rainbow Rising or Mob Rules. That's for damn sure.
No.
Part two, it's not like the other ones. You don't have Murray in there.
Yep.
I think Wendy was behind that one, curating that art.
Okay, could be
involved in that at all.
Yeah, it's got a little more of a comic book, cartoon, Saturday morning, cartoon kind of thing going on. But so yeah, it's funny. You could call it the weakest of the OG Dio albums, but you can also say it's still a pretty solid Dio album.
Just Another Day is an awesome song.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong.
A good song.
Yeah, Sacred Heart's a good song. Hungry for Heaven, again, leaning into that commercial lane a little bit.
Nikki says, nope, Sacred Heart is the best. Dio's voice is incredible on that album. His voice is always incredible, man. It just, even up to the end, it was great.
Yep. So yeah, I was happy to round out, and have, all four of those Dio albums back on the shelf. I've had this on digital copy in between, but it was kind of nice to have, that little grouping of four back together for the first time in a long time.
I'm going to have to pull that out. I've got on record. I haven't spun that album in ages.
Yeah,
I always Holy Diver. Whenever I listen to Dio, it's Holy Diver.
Yeah. It's hard to get past that one sometimes.
The first two are the ones I go to.
And that was kind of the thing too, Marty. I hadn't played it in forever. I was like, how was that album? But when I looked at the track list, like, I remember most of these actually, and they were pretty good. Let's put that in the cart. And
that's when he, it was the big stadium stuff. They had the dragon. He went and slayed it with the sword, and it was kind of a big deal. He got MTV airplay with the videos and Much Music airplay with the videos, and things were ramping up.
Indeed, they were. All right, Marty. What is next on your list tonight?
Well, after having Mr. Fowley in our stream, I revisited Ghostly White, which I listened to quite a bit when it came out, but solid modern day Deceased album. Ever since Fearless Undead Machines, when Deceased got a little more heavy metal, that's when the band really started to click for me. I mean, I always liked the early raw stuff, early raw US death metal style, but in their own way. As soon as Fearless Undead Machines injected that, the twin guitar stuff, the really solid anthemic harmony lines and solos and stuff. This is just, there is no band that sounds like Deceased, and they're to be applauded. They've been at it forever, since 83, 85, I can't remember the date. But it's been a long time, and they're still putting out great stuff. King still sounds great. A lot of lyrics, a lot of storylines. Every song's a concept. In fact, this might be a concept album. I don't know. Great album. If you're not into Deceased, this is as good a place as any to start. Really solid heavy metal album.
Yep.
And everybody, King will be coming back as well. He liked it. Seemed to be, everybody dug having him around too. So
yeah, a very consistent, long-lived, and much-loved band.
Yep. And for good reason. It's good solid stuff.
How they went with the white case, that was a good decision. Just absolutely.
Very, very good idea. I'm going to go to the little boys' room while you're doing this. So talk a lot.
Yeah, I'm going to take a little more time with this one because I think it deserves a little recognition. So this is...
I thought he was calling you a little boy for a second, going back to the whole baby face joke thing.
I took no offense to that for some reason. I don't know. So this band, it's called Universally Estranged. They're from Houston, Texas. Reared up in spectral predation. So this is sort of that what you call spacey, dirty death metal. It's kind of put up by Blood Harvest. So this is another one with the school of what you call it's a little all over the place. I like it. And by looking at this cover, it gives you a little bit of an idea what it sounds like. If you're into the kind of spectral voice and that kind of aesthetic as far as the sound goes. Now, the problem with this release is I don't hear a lot of people talking about it because another release, Inoculation, Celestial Putridity came out, and this is the one everybody's raving about. So this is the stronger album. If you were to put it up with this one. Also, the vocals are quite different. It's one of those deals where if it sounds like the guy has the mic right up to his mouth like the whole time. If you like that kind of style, the musicianship and all that, really good production. I enjoyed this quite a lot, but again, I think this kind of release kind of took a little more attention from releases like this. Kind of flew under the radar. I know the Inoculation, Magastop put this one out. But again, the reason I bring this up is because if you're listening to this, definitely check this out. It also has the same artist behind both bands. So, it's the same dude that did Star Spawn. What else? Manner of Infinite Forms. He did the Tool Mold. What's his name? Yeah, Inoculation. Yeah, because this one has a little more of that grind sound. The dude from Abraded. And this one here, who the hell did the artwork? Lucas Court, that's his name. Lucas Court did the artwork for this. So, guy's been doing this a long time. And it's really good at what he does. But check out Universally Estranged. Very weird name, but very fitting. So, yeah. I felt like it fell out of the radar. That's why I figured I'd bring it up. Everybody's talking about Inoculation, which could be an album of the year for a lot of people, or at least in the top 10.
Sounds interesting. Rick, did you say we're from Houston?
Yeah.
Okay. Did they share any members with who is it? Malignant Altar by chance? Because I think they're Houston also, if I'm remembering right. And it just
good question, but not that I'm aware. These guys have a more of a psychedelic vibe overall, but that doesn't, can't have the same members.
Yeah, it could have been like some of those guys wanted to do another thing. They're just another really good Houston new wave death band that I really like. So I was like, maybe there's a crossover there. But yeah, that one sounds interesting.
It's always refreshing when there's it's kind of time goally. Yeah, exactly. If you like that kind of range of bands, it fits that aesthetic. So if you're already listening to bands like Inoculation, I think you would like this. So I figured it'd be a good pairing.
Okay, Alan.
Okay. So next is something I dredged up in one of the used record stores not too long ago. And maybe even a chance. It's the first album by, I'm guessing it's pronounced Godot, maybe Godot. It's a 70s rock band out of Canada. And they're one of those kind of, just under the radar bands that have, sort of a strong cult following. They made a bunch of albums. They had a big reputation as a live band. They're the band leaders, a very sort of, typical rock and roll maniac, crazy man. There's, all kinds of, legendary stories about them on tour and stuff. There's some really good live footage of them on YouTube. There's one show in particular where the guy's wearing like a really gaudy gold lame suit and just jamming out to on this guitar stuff. It's what you'd expect for a lot of late 70s guitar driven hard rock stuff.
You blur your eyes, it looks like it's Godzilla.
Yep. I have done that before, quite seriously. I sure have. I gotta say though, this one is finally hearing the whole album studio-wise, because it's something I just never got around to hearing. I'm used to hearing and seeing live stuff by them, because that's what they were always sort of known as, was a big live act. And hearing the album finally in its entirety, it's a little underwhelming. I think this is one of those bands that it was much stronger on stage than they were on vinyl. I've heard one of their other albums too. It was a later album, and wasn't real impressed with it. But I just figured, okay, that one came out, several years later, once maybe the band was winding down. But this is the album a lot of folks cite as a big deal for them. And it's kind of like, it's okay, but it doesn't have the energy that you see when you watch some of them live. They always have a few goofy song titles and stuff. Let That Lizard Loose is one of them that they're known for. Bus Driver Blues, some goofy ones like that. Always just a little wacky, a little off center. So I can appreciate the band, and it was kind of cool to finally get to hear the album. But yeah, I gotta say, was a little unimpressed at the end of the day. Played it several times and felt like it didn't hit the mark the way I was expecting it to, based on how strong some of their live shows are. So yeah, if you're interested in that era of music, check them out on YouTube, but don't run out and pay big import or reissue prices. There's some of their stuff is a little hard to get and a little pricey. Not super pricey, but the CD reissues can be $20 or more. Frankly, I wouldn't want to pay that for them. Having heard 2 of the albums now and just not getting that blown away. It's kind of fun, but it should be more fun than it is. It's a little hard to explain.
Cool cover art.
It is kind of a cool cover art, and again, I've read interviews and stuff with the guy. He very much lived the whole crazy rock and roll lifestyle. It sounds like it was a great example of one of those bands that were legends in their hometown, and were kind of that close to really breaking through and being one of the big name acts of that era, and just didn't quite get over the top. But regardless, interesting act, and I'll take this moment to plug something new that's come out. Godo was pointed out to me by an old buddy of mine over in the UK, Graham, who sometimes watches us on stream. So Graham has been in a ton of bands over the years. For anyone that was really active online during the Blogspot era, about 10 years ago, 15 years ago, Graham ran the best heavy music site on Blogspot. It was called the New and Improved Live and Otherwise Blog. Because UK, you have to have a long rambling title that's funny for no particular reason. But he always, about once a week, would post something, and always just had deep dives on all kinds of amazing stuff. Not just heavy metal, but lots of rock and stuff that was a little more alternative-y sounding. But he always did a ton of research on every little release. Had lots of good notes. Always responded to comments, which is where we got to know one another, just chatting back and forth about all these crazy live shows, demo tapes, Australian only releases of random things that you never knew existed. And so where I'm going with this is that blog, of course, is long since been retired, but currently Graham is working on a new podcast, and it's going to be called, looks like he's testing it out. He has a pilot episode up under the name Cult of the Underdog. It's over on Mixcloud, which is a site I'm not very familiar with, but you can check it out there. He's got episode 1 called Sweet Evil, and it's listed as pilot episode Halloween special. I have not had a chance to preview it yet. He just sent me the link earlier today, and so again, we've been buddies online for almost 2 decades now. Really nice bloke. He's turned me on to so much interesting music over the years, and helped me track down weird little demos and stuff by bands I didn't even know that made demos. So he is deep into this stuff, and wanted to take a moment to say that if you're looking for something else to listen to this weekend, head over to Mixcloud and try checking out Cult of the Underdog episode 1. And if you like it, I'm guessing there's a way to leave feedback. Let him know what you think of it. He's testing this out. It's his first time doing a podcast, and he's looking for feedback to see what folks think of it. So give it a listen. He's always got interesting stuff, so I'm sure it's going to be a good listen.
Cult of the Underdog on Mixcloud. Wrote it down. I will check it out.
As will I. I wish I had time to get to it today before the stream, and it did not happen. But I will be checking it out this weekend.
All right. I guess it's my turn.
Over to you, Marty.
So some friends of mine in town have been working on a project. The band is called Draughter, and they've got they've been working pretty hard on a Catatonia tribute release that they're going to be putting out probably just digitally. On this release, they've done a cover of Brave. They've done a cover of Day off of this album, Brave Murder Day. and they've also done a original song in the spirit of this album. I played the harmonies and stuff, the little hammer-on dealy-do on the song Brave. For that song, cover song, I played a little guitar on it, and it's coming out soon, but made me sit down and revisit this album. I haven't listened to it in quite some time, and still holds up. And my buddy Austin pointed out to me that the guitar harmonies and style really reminded him of Gregor McIntosh from Paradise Lost, and after he said that, I can't unhear it. I hear the harmonies on here. It sounds like Gothic era Paradise Lost, which I'm sure was a huge influence on these guys. But Michael Ackerfeld singing on here, of course, was brooding and brutal as hell back in the days when he had still some throat in him. And probably my second favorite Catatonia album. Good stuff. Love it. It's fun to play on that track with my friends.
Yeah,
that's probably my favorite one from that era, from the hot vocals era.
Yeah, it's a really it's a good album. All the very early Catatonia stuff is just top notch.
Yeah.
All right. Get back, Rick.
All right, since you brought up Catatonia, I'll just keep writing that. So this is another band. They're not quite a legacy band like Catatonia. It's been around, but this is a band I think I've just been getting into them and I'm really enjoying the material. They're from Australia. It's called Autumn's Dawn. This is their latest release, Dying Ember, and they fall under that sort of post-black metal, depressive kind of style. So they had an EP which is really good. So I do have another one I picked up from Eisenwald. So this is it's just self-titled, and you can tell just by looking at that, kind of what you're in for. So it's so it's a lot of mournful melodies and things going on, but it's not like depressive in a way that's there's still stuff going on, very very musical, that I think a lot of people can get into. So this is just 3 songs. This one came out in 2014, something like that. So again, like I said, this is the latest one. Dark Descent put this one out, so it should not be hard to come by. Really good release. I forget where I don't think I bought this one directly from Dark Descent, but I've seen it in their store. But a really really good release. So Autumn's Dawn, Australian. Definitely check them out. If that's the kind of thing you might like, if you're just in one of those moods. It's like if you like bands like another one Canadian like Begotten, you see it has that kind of aesthetic. Although I think these guys have a little more atmosphere. Yeah, so Simon knows.
Simon knows everybody in Australia.
Good band.
He's probably hanging out with Jesus right now. We're getting a delay again.
Is it coming from here?
Hold on, let me see. Hello? Yeah, it's coming from you, Rick.
All right. Headset time.
It just came out of nowhere. Weird.
So right.
All right, Mr. Allen.
Wow. Ooh, okay.
It's better now, Rick. It's better. Sean.
Oh,
We all good?
all right.
Okay. Dug this one up a while back. It's a really cool album. Hadn't played it in ages. And I can't recall hearing anybody mention this band on YouTube, period, which is a little strange. Oops, still got a little echo.
Yeah, the echo is there again.
Do we want to troubleshoot first? Doesn't matter.
Rick may have to go headphones. Oh,
Yeah, it just might be
come-
easier just overall to just keep this on.
All right, go ahead, man. Sorry.
Oh, wait, no worries. But, yeah, the one of dug back off the shelf, Wild Dogs, Reign of Terror, album from 1987, U.S. band. They had a couple albums before this one. They were one of those bands on the Shrapnel label. I've never heard the first 2 albums in their entirety. They've never gotten very positive reviews or write-ups anywhere. They're usually kind of mentioned as being like, well, kind of okay, but nothing special. But then they took a few years off after those two albums and came back with slightly touched up lineup, had a new vocalist as I recall, and they put this one out, and this is just a really, really cool album. Good comparison point would be something like Liege Lord's Master Control, that style of mid 80s US power metal. Very strong vocal performance. It's not speedy like Halloween or Blind Guardian or anything, but it's got a very forceful delivery to it, very tough sound. And yeah, just a really solid album. It would have been right at home alongside a lot of the bands on the Auburn Records label, groups like Shock Paris or Breaker. It could have fit in right alongside that kind of stuff. And I believe they did some other stuff later, but again, I'm not familiar with any of that. Yeah, this is just one of those real unsung classics that deserves a lot more attention than it ever got. I'm assuming by now it's gotten a reissue treatment. I don't know. This was a version the band put out on CD Baby back when that was kind of a new thing that was happening. So it's got a lot of bonus tracks, sort of unreleased demos and stuff from the studio when they were recording it. But yeah, if you like that really just solid pounding style of mid 80s US metal and you haven't heard this album, don't feel bad. Not a lot of folks have. This was another one I discovered because it was $1 in a used bin at a record show in 1993. But always loved the album, and yeah, it's one that should get more attention. It's a very strong album, and it's worth checking out. So Wild Dogs, Reign of Terror. Can't speak to the first two. They different lineup, much earlier, don't seem to be that popular, but this is the one to check out.
Right on. Rick.
Cool. I think it's you, right?
Is it? You're right.
It's
Yeah.
a good one.
All right. My friend Alan recommended Virgin Steel's Invictus. I picked it up, and it's quite good power metal. It's this pretty lengthy album. The singer sounds like Eric Adams from Manowar. Big time. I mean, not a lot. He sounds a lot like Eric Adams. I've only listened to this a couple times. I've enjoyed it. I've since then picked up several more Virgin Steel albums, which I have not listened to yet. But good, solid album. And if you're into US power metal, definitely on Let's Talk Metal, which you should all go subscribe to. Alan just did a super deep dive on Virgin Steel. It's like a 40-some minute long video. Definitely go check it out. He goes balls deep on this band, and you might learn something. Check it out.
Thank you, Marty. Cool. Yeah, folks have been enjoying that video. A lot of folks have left comments saying that, this is great because I didn't really know where to start. Virgin Steel, they've got a 40-year catalog at this point with a crazy number of albums, and there are a lot of different styles. You will hear some Virgin Steel albums, and you probably won't like them, but you'll hear others, and they'll sound like a completely different band. So it's a difficult discography to navigate.
Plus, he did a lot of side secret bands, like the death metal styled Exorcist. He did Pile Driver, and some other band with his sister.
Was he in? Yeah, I forget if was he in Devil Child or was that somebody else? That was Joe Hasselvander, I think.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Yeah, there were a bunch of those bands like Phantom Lord that were sort of almost joke side project bands. Satan's Host, where guys were recording under pseudonyms and just doing crazy stuff.
Satan's Host did quite a few albums. I mean,
that was one that actually caught on and became much bigger than you would have thought that it was going to at first. Yeah,
moribund bigger. I mean,
I feel like King Fowley does a little bit of that with his side projects. To see what sticks and just got stuff happening all the time.
A little bit.
All right, now it is Rick's turn.
All right. So here's an interesting one. So I'm a sucker for these long unearthed kind of albums. So I picked this up from Smart Records, and it's a band called Medusa, 1975, Rising from the Ashes. This is their second album. Again, from material made a long time ago. Although this came out it's got this nice little sheen. You can probably see, kind of cool. So this came out in 2017. The first one was First Step Beyond in 2013. The thing is, this band, called 1975, I think that's when I think in 73, they actually got together, but they didn't actually start producing music or releases until 75, I believe. But that said, they put out a 7-inch, I think around that year in 75, if I'm not, or 76. And then they just called it quits. So they had a nice 40-year break where they did nothing. And I don't think they were expecting to do anything. So somebody unearthed one of their 7-inches. And I guess they managed to connect with Donald Brown, who played keyboards in this band. They're based out of Chicago, by the way. So yeah, they're US based. So she didn't think that there'd be any interest in this kind of, especially this old sound. Although I see a lot of resurgence, a lot of bands trying to kind of mimic that style. If I were to describe them, it's almost like I don't know, like Pentagram was already doing their stuff in the early 70s, and I feel like if you take a little bit of their sound and maybe a little bit of a technical ecstasy, Black Sabbath, and kind of put it together, you get a little bit of this. Though you can tell they were influenced by the 70s prog stuff happening, at the same time. So it's a lot of keyboard happening here. So it's got a doomy vibe again with the prog element. There are, oh man, my only little gripe. It's not really a gripe. It's not really their fault. It's old material. There's a song called "Heading for Armageddon." It has the same kind of rhythm as Testament's "Electric Crown." Funny enough, it just kind of done in a retro kind of way. Again, these guys came first, so they were pulling material they've been writing for years to put together these releases. But again, this is one of the ones you see in as far as store. You're wondering what the hell is this, But again, cool, this is something that cover. It's a little hard to see. I'm hoping you can kind of see the people there and everything going on here. But
very
really cool style. I feel like if Pentagram were a little more prog, I think they kind of would sound a little bit like something like this. But yeah, this is a band that took a long break and they decided to just reform and try it out. But I'm glad they did. It's Medusa, 1975. They used to go by just Medusa. They changed it officially to 1975.
I'm trying to remember. I feel like I have one of their albums, but I'm drawing a blank on it.
There might be other bands called Medusa. The name might be just familiar, but they're one of the ones, really, really early ones. So they have two full lengths. This one and the one before it.
Yeah, let me go to the film here for a minute and see, because that rings a bell.
Hey, for the 50th interview, still hanging around. Thanks for sticking with us tonight. Appreciate it, man. It's all good.
No, I must be thinking. I'm thinking of a band named Hydra. That's Medusa, Hydra. It's a whole bunch of snakes. My bad.
All right, Alan.
Alrighty. Well, as Marty mentioned earlier, we had King Fally on a couple of weeks ago for a 2-part deep dive into the Black Sabbath discography, which was a ton of fun. And during the Q&A with King, somebody had asked King, to name one of his favorite sort of unknown new wave of British heavy metal bands or albums. And I kind of guessed for what he was probably likely to say, having talked to King about that stuff a lot over the years. And yeah, sure enough, the album that he mentioned was by a band called Chevy with an album called The Taker. And so it's like, oh yeah, I haven't played that in forever. Well, let's fix that. So in the past couple of weeks since then, I got this off the shelf and gave it a spin. That's a cover for you. We're very close to this man's forehead for reasons. It's on the same label that the Dark Star album was. Dark Star, was known for the big song Lady of Mars back then. So same record label. And as King said, this is not Iron Maiden. This is not Def Leppard. This is not Diamond Head. It owes a lot more, to those sort of, late 70s, what we think of now as kind of classic rock, Bad Company style soundings. But it's not bad. It's got a little metallic bite to it here and there. You can tell from the band picture, you are not dealing with hell bent for leather here.
God, why
It's
are you
more like
fucking smiling at metal?
slightly, yeah, it's more like slightly mad for buckskin, perhaps.
And those bangs, I've never
Wow.
seen a more perfectly trimmed bangs before.
Yeah.
Those are great.
Look at the fro on that guy. Oof.
At least 3 of these men own Black Oak, Arkansas's T-shirts. You know they did. But yeah, all things said, it's a cool, it's a cool listen if you like your new wave of British heavy metal, leaning towards again a little bit more of the commercial friendly rock sounds from the late 70s. This is a good one to check out. It's got some cool songs on it. It's not a hard album to find, and it's not an expensive album either. So I've seen copies of this in record stores recently for like $5-10. It's not one that's tough to track down. The Avatar albums had decent distribution, so there's always been a good number of copies around. So yeah, King.
Well, that's the thing. It leaves a lot to the imagination. Looking at the cover, like I would not know what that is. Like,
Yeah.
I can't tell.
Yeah, what is it? Okay, there's like a sword. Is this guy like getting ready to cut somebody down in battle? Is somebody like putting this up to his forehead, getting ready to cut him up? What's going on there? I don't know. Maybe the one.
Well, there you go. And when you look at the back,
yeah. If you look at the back, you might not pick it up. You might put it back down and use your money on something else. But no, if you come across it cheap and you don't mind those more rock-oriented new wave of British heavy metal releases, this is one that's worth checking out.
All right.
All right, Marty, it is your turn.
Okay, I've got the last of my CDs. I'm just gonna power through these last 2 here. I've got albums and shit to show too, but picked up Gamma Ray's Master of Confusion single. It's got a couple studio tracks off of the Empire of the Undead, and it's got a couple exclusive tracks, and then 3, 4, 6 live tracks. Found it cheap on eBay. Didn't have it. A couple songs I hadn't heard. Had to get it. For those of you that don't know, Kai Hansen from Halloween's band. And also, a guy named Alan who dresses up like a monkey once in a while. He sent me this Sinner album. It's the best of, I believe, the second decade.
Mm-hmm.
Never heard Sinner before. I listened to this a couple times. This is a Nuclear Blast release. Very solid German heavy metal. No frills. It didn't blow my mind, but I enjoyed it enough to listen to it twice. I'll probably listen to it some more. Really solid songwriting. Again, are they the best thing I ever heard out of Germany? No, but I enjoyed it. Good, solid stuff. Thank you, Alan.
You're very welcome.
And that's that. Rick.
This was one of my last picks up at the record store, and they have a black metal and a death metal pile. So this was sitting in the death metal pile, and this is the first Krieg album, The Rise of the Imperial Hordes.
It's a good album. It's crazy and noisy and weird.
Yeah, I didn't have this one. So it was in there too. It was $5. I was like, You know what? I'm gonna just snag it. And being a New Jersey band, not too far from where I grew up, which is a nice little fun fact. Although this was their first debut, they've been around a while. I think Jameson went by Imperial before this, so I don't have any of the Imperial stuff. So that's my next go-to. But yeah, this is one of their rawest the stuff that they've put out, at least that as far as their early material. But it's good. I mean, it's intense, aggressive.
A little sloppy,
what I want,
it's got a lot of heart in it for sure.
I like a little bit of that.
Yep.
Not too precise, but yeah. I mean, were they Judas Iscariot? Not quite, but still pretty good. So yeah, real giddy about this one.
Yep, very cool. Alan.
That's another one. If you're trying to catch up on the discography, it'll take you a while.
Yeah, right on.
All right, let's see. This one stopped by one of the local record stores a week or so ago, and the guy had picked up a lot of cool used metal stuff. I'm going to feature that in a collection update video here in a week or two. But one of them I'll go ahead and show off tonight because I have been playing it right away. It's the Holocaust Live album, Live Hot Curry and Wine. This is the new wave of British heavy metal band, that did the Nightcomers album, is the one most people are familiar with.
Nightcomers.
Well, it's kind of a funny thing. This was a posthumous release. The band had already fallen apart. There was no band when this was released. And the label had recorded a live show, and they had released, I think, 4 tracks of it on a 7-inch EP. They had released it as a video release, which was a big deal at the time. Not a lot of bands at that time were, straying into video territory. And I guess the label figured, hey, we can eke out one more Holocaust title, even though the guys have already called it quits. And so they put out, a good chunk of the concert as this album. And it ended up selling so well that they coaxed John Mortimer out of retirement and kind of prodded him to get the band back together and make another studio album, which ended up being the absolutely dreadful No Man's Land from 1984. That is one of those albums you are hard-pressed to find anybody that will say anything nice about. Most albums, you look around for a while and somebody's going to say, hey, that's not so bad. I kind of like that one. No Man's Land, everyone's just like, oh, dear God, no. It is just one of the most bland albums. You can tell the guy was just roped in to say well, if you pay me enough, I'll come out of retirement and write you an album with some random guys I'll pick up from wherever because you don't care, do you? I didn't think so. But yeah, this one, this is a weird album that came out after the band had broke up and before they got back together. It's a good live sound. It's got a lot of their early tracks they did several different EPs and things before and after the first album, so it's got a good selection of material on it. It's got The Small Hours, which is the song most people know because some other band covered it later on. I think it was Soundgarden. Some band from the West Coast.
Was it Guns N' Roses?
Some West Coast band from maybe it was GNR. That's probably was that one. I forget.
Death or Glory on there.
Death or Glory. Actually, let me double check. There's one on here that I was disappointed wasn't, and it might have been Death or Glory. We've got Smoking Valves is on here, Small Hours is on here, Heavy Metal Mania is on here. Death or Glory is not on here. I believe it's one of the songs that was on the 7-inch live EP. So they did play it at the show, but they'd already used it on the 7-inch EP, and they didn't recycle it for the album, I guess. But yeah, it has a pretty good sound quality for a live album from that era. Phoenix Records was not a big record label. It was a very small sort of local affair, but they had pretty good distribution for a small label. The band was from Scotland, technically, which wasn't a huge part of the new wave of British heavy metal scene. So the band, was lucky in some ways that, they got connected with a small label that had the right connections to get them, out there in front of enough fans. And the band didn't go on to a long run. They've released albums, I think, as recently as 2017. In the late 80s, John Mortimer put together another new lineup and got more serious about things, and they went in a really different direction. I've never heard much of the later stuff, but I've often heard it described as I'll put it this way. A lot of the reviews all said the same thing, that John Mortimer had been listening to a ton of Voivod in between Holocaust incarnations, because some of those, they said, had a real strong influence from things like Dimension Hatros, and that era of Voivod started showing up in the... So yeah, very, very different from what they did with Smoking Valves and Heavy Metal Mania and stuff like that. But it was cool to see that. I hadn't seen a vinyl copy of the album in ages. I had a digital copy, but I was like, yeah, you know what? I'd be more than happy to pay a local record store to have that on vinyl for the first time. So Holocaust, fun new wave of British heavy metal band for sure.
Sweet.
All right, Marty, we're back to you again.
Okay, I'm gonna need participation here. Give me an R.
Oh, that's a mouthful. That's an R with a mouthful of beer.
O. C.
Rick, you're not pulling your weight.
K. What you got?
Monkey.
Hey, what you gonna do?
Throw my poo.
Rock you. Hey, here we go.
Oh, okay.
Wow, you guys suck at participation shit.
Hey, I tried, Rick. We got to get you a.
I tried to try.
You did not. You were stumped. You were stymied. You didn't know what the hell I was even asking.
Yeah.
I got off to a bad start by I took a sip of beer at the wrong time and couldn't get myself back in gear.
Well, here we are with this, holding this album. Why am I holding this album, you ask? Well, our friend, the Barbecutioner, who is in the chat this evening, he is a Newfoundland native. Talks about Helix quite often on the Chromium Dioxide Radio channel, which, if you're not subscribed to Chromium Dioxide Radio, you need to... yeah, my wife just texted me, your cheerleading skills need help. So I'm working with, honey. They suck. What can I say? But yes, Chromium Dioxide Radio talks about Helix quite often, being a Canadian native. And I spent a lot of time watching Much Music back in the day because my parents had I grew up in a house that had no cable, so my parents scraped the money together and bought one of those gigantic satellite dishes. So I got to see Much Music, the Pepsi Power Hour. They played Rock You and Gimme Gimme Good Lovin' and all sorts of fun stuff on the channel quite often. And I walked into the record store the other day. Yeah, she said, I don't have a short skirt nor am I blonde. Okay. Anyway, sorry. $6. This was coming home with me, thanks to the Barbecutioner. And it's a clean copy, and it's been fun. It's been a fun record to spin once in a while. Good rock. I would, dare call it Canadian hair metal. I don't know. It leans more on the side of rock to me. It's just a good hard rock record. These guys aren't wearing too much makeup. It's all good. Well, this guy could have maybe been in Striper, but solid record. It's been fun. $6. It was worth it. Rock You. And you guys suck as cheerleader call and response shit, by the way.
I blame it on poor leadership, like your wife.
No comment at all.
All right, Rick.
All right, I got a weird one. So, this is a band that named themselves after a Candlemass song. And this is Bewitched.
You are bewitched.
Yeah. So, Iron Boat had put this out. And this was originally... You can even tell from here. So, looking at this, you're looking at a black metal band. And with everything going on here with the aesthetics. Which is very weird that they named themselves after a Candlemass song. So, when you start to spin this, you're going to go, what the hell's going on here? There's just all kinds of styles and fusions and things going on. So yeah, the album's called Dragonflight. So again, 1997. These guys are, God, what the hell? I forget now. They're based out of Chile, I believe. And yeah, you got the big dragon there. That's also more confusing. So how do you get black metal through this? So, well, I guess he's lighting the church on fire, for all I know. So you get a little bit of a, yeah. I got the memo, Brian. So you get that raspy black metal vocals, and then on a whim, it changes to this sort of Messiah kind of vocalization, and then you get the tremolo, and then switches on a dime to more of that epic doom. So this is like a fusion of black metal and epic doom going on. Again, this one has a lot of melody in it too. It's a very confusing listen at first. So I wasn't sure if I was going to keep spitting this one. But I don't know, man. Like, this is something that you give it a chance, and, I ended up enjoying it, for what it was. But it's definitely very oddball. Yeah, even the names here. Like, you got a guy. Okay, so you got, Manham, Doomicus, Euron Evil. So it's a black metal band trying to be a doom band. There you go.
Pensive Skygazing. Cheers.
Goofy.
Yeah, so Bewitched, Dragonflight. They have quite other releases after this. So these guys have been around quite a while. I don't know if they're still doing anything now, but this is one of their earlier 90s stuff. As far as I've seen, as far as how things have been rated, this is one of their stronger albums, far as I know. But worth at least checking out once. If this is your thing, if it clicks, great. But it took me a few spins, but I've enjoyed it. Confusing at first.
Seems neat. You always come up with the most interesting things that I've never heard of, Rick.
I know. I've actually heard of Bewitched, but I don't think I've ever heard them.
I'd be really curious to know what you guys think, just because of the fusion of everything else going on. You know, how they stand with stuff coming out today.
Mm-hmm.
Sweet. Okay, Alan.
All right. Let's see. Getting close to the bottom of my stack, but got one or two left. Yeah, I picked this up at a local record store not long ago, and it's a classic. I had other versions of it, but I didn't have this version, and sick little collector monkey that I am decided it needed to come home with me. It's a picture disc of the Merciful Fate EP. Now, this is not an old original picture disc from the early 80s.
Bootleggy.
It is a bootleg. It is a bootleg on Metallized Blood Records, and I looked it up, and I think it came out around 2003, maybe 2004, somewhere right there in the early to mid 2000s. So it's about 15, 20-year-old bootleg version. And I knew that when I bought it. I was under no misimpression that it was an original or anything. It wasn't released as a picture disc. Originally you had the original pressing. The second pressing was still in a cover and just had the different colored border around it and stuff, but still it's an absolute gem of an EP. Didn't have a picture disc version of it. Was once again happy to work with the record store and add that to the stack to take home. And yeah, gotta say, driving home today, actually heard Evil by Merciful Fate on Ozzy's Boneyard. They were doing their countdown of like the 15 spookiest Halloween songs voted by the fans, and ranked at number 15 was Merciful Fate's Evil, which is like, damn, I've never heard them play Merciful Fate ever.
Isn't really anything good on like Liquid Metal. It's usually played by Ian Christie.
Oh yeah, Ian Christie's got the best show on any of those channels by far. But yeah, the top 15 Halloween heavy metal track countdown was pretty impressive. I didn't get to the end of it before I got home, but yeah, folks had picked some decent tunes.
That's cool.
Was King Diamond's Halloween was in the somewhere around number 11. Children of the Grave was on there. I don't remember what else, but Judas Priest, Touch of Evil was on the list.
Nice.
So yeah, people had actually picked good songs, but it was awesome to go blazing down the highway with Evil blasting, which one of their best tracks. Not on the EP, of course, but
right,
awesome song. But yeah, I thought it was, even though it's a bootleg, it was a neat picture disc, so I picked it up.
Very cool. Rick.
All right.
Wait, me. Both.
Marty.
Okay, the same day I bought the Helix, I picked up for $15. Chinatown by Thin Lizzy.
Oh.
The song I heard on this before was Genocide, The Killing of the Buffalo. Great song. And I'm so glad I've come around on this band, because I am, this is a stamped promotional copy, not for sale. It's in great shape. No bumps or nicks on the record. It's good. I'm glad I came around on this band, because it's really a unique band. Great guitar work. I love the twin harmonies. Very metal adjacent. You can tell that it influenced some metal down the road, and it influenced a lot of things.
Oh, yeah.
Lanett was a great fucking songwriter, great singer. Shame he passed too soon, but yep, this is my fourth Thin Lizzy record. I also have Thunder and Lightning, which is my favorite, Jailbreak, Johnny the Fox, and now this. So I'm slowly embarking upon the quest to get these albums. But this is a great record. I enjoyed the hell out of it. Constant Spins coming down the road for sure.
That's a cool one. Yeah, Thin Lizzy's an old favorite. That's the one Thin Lizzy album I've never owned. And I don't know, there's no excuse for it. I just somehow skipped that one. I've heard it. It's good, like you said. It's the one that I never had picked up a real copy of. There may have been like one of their very first albums, like before Shades of a Blue Orphanage or something, that I never got around to picking up. But that's the only one from like the classic era that I missed buying a copy of.
Yep. Nope. I did $15. I mean, this record store, if you're ever here, Alan, It's a beautiful record store, but their shit is so overpriced. I mean, I felt that was fair.
Yeah, no, that's
It's
for
fair
these
price.
days. Yeah, for an original Thin Lizzy album, they're not a band you see stuff show up by in used stores very much. I've actually talked to some of the guys at the local record stores about that. Yeah, it's the joke. It's like, you got any used Thin Lizzy? No, of course you don't. Nobody does. When
Yeah.
people buy those albums, they keep those albums,
Yep, for sure.
and for good reason. They're really
And
good.
I'm learning that now. I've missed out on a lot of years of great music for sure. It's cool though to be the age I am, still discovering bands and classics, and it's always fun to investigate. Have a lengthy discography to dig into because you can always find them here and there for sure.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, there's always something else cool to discover and listen to out there. Anybody who says they've heard it all is lying through their teeth. They have not even scratched the surface.
Impossible. I used to try back in the day.
We all thought we could once upon a time, and yeah, I think you and I were talking, Marty. I just for fun recently I looked at on Metal Archives, just searched albums released in 2020 to get a sense of how many there were, and it's something like 5,000 albums from 1 year. You couldn't listen to all that in a lifetime, and that's just 1 year. And heavy metal's got 50 so years worth of history to it, so nobody's heard it all. There's always something cool out there to discover if you want to dig around.
Yep, absolutely. All right, Mr. Rick.
Well, you pulled out a classic. So this is kind of a weird one. I just didn't have it in my collection, so I picked it up recently. Anthrax, Attack of the Killer A's. So this is more of a compilation. This is interesting because it's got it has both eras. So Dan Liker, they brought him back for this just to what was the one song, Ball of Confusion, and you got Joey and John Bush are hear them on one CD. So if that interests you,
That's interesting they do that for sure.
It's very unique. I was very surprised. Of course, Attack of the Killer Bees was the one that came out years earlier. But the reason I pulled this up was to read a little paragraph here put together by Scott. So I'm going to just read this. All right. Greetings, loyal listeners. What we have here is a compilation of the best of Anthrax. Now I know everyone has their opinion about which song is their favorite from our extensive catalog of hits. So we listened to you, our faithful audience. We polled you on the internet, sent out ballots, tallied all the votes, and then said, fuck it. Just pick it out of a hat. Ha. I think we did pretty well putting this together. Yeah, I know there's Caught in the Mosh or Be All End All. Sorry, some songs had to be sacrificed for the good of mankind. Actually, you only get 74 minutes on a CD, so we had to hire a mathematician to figure out how to cram the most minutes possible on here. Anyway, I think this collection is a great representation of what we were, who we were, and will always be. A band that does what we want, loves what we do, and has the utmost respect for our audience. It's all about metal. Yeah, so see you on Tour 2000. Little late on that one. That guy called Anthrax. Yeah, so I thought that was cool. Yeah, so it's just a fun one.
Anthrax is one of those bands. Their last two new albums I thought were great. I listened to them a lot. Worship Music and For All Kings. Loved them. I thought they're great. Joey back. The songwriting was good. They've really, they've kind of recovered from the John Bush era. People like that era, and that's fine. But man, they're still kicking ass. To me anyway.
I haven't heard them. Well, I've heard a song here and there, but I haven't dived into them.
I think John brought him back to do a show. I think he just recently did. He's not like part of the band officially, but he's one of those guys you can call up. He'll do a gig with them.
Really? They did?
Yeah, I remember seeing that not too long ago. So that was pretty interesting. So
That's cool.
They get along. It's not. They don't have any bad blood like that.
Well, they shouldn't have. I mean, they did
any,
a lot of
any
albums
reason
with
to.
the guy,
Yeah.
And he's got.
That's one thing that was cool about it.
Getting Joey back is the business. It's what the people want.
Yeah.
Yeah. John Bush is a great voice, and I feel like even now he has never quite found the right band for his great voice. Armored Saint. People have been talking about Armored Saint in the chat some tonight.
I agree a lot with what they're saying too. I've got all the early stuff on tape. It's good.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not great. It's just from that era. There's so much greatness from that era. They're like the outsider band. They're even on Chrysalis Records, which was known for Pat Benatar.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I can dig the record label. They were just one of those lucky
and-
bands that got snapped up early. But yeah, I think Pat made the comment that is like, yeah, you listen to some of those early songs, it's just like, this isn't bad, but it should rock more than it does, and it always feels like, yeah, they're just not quite heavy enough. There's always just a little something missing. They sounded better live. Some of the live tracks, they really kick ass on some of the live songs I've heard over the years. But on some of those studio albums, it's always just like, it needs one extra little something. And somewhere out there's a band that John Bush should have been the vocalist for this whole time, and they just haven't met up yet. Because he's I love his voice, but I just never thought he was quite right for Anthrax, and he's just, something just wasn't quite there with Armored Saint either. Just my opinion.
What are you gonna say, Rick?
No, that was. Well, you mentioned Chrysalis. I was gonna say Blondie was another one that caught my attention. Yeah, that's another one.
Right on.
So I'd throw that in there.
All right, Alan.
Okay, pick this up. I had never had heard it. I knew about it and just never got it. And you don't see old live albums very often. Those are things that don't get reissued. Popular bands, if they've got a big catalog, they'll get some reissue love over time. But the live albums usually get skipped over, so they can get hard to find over time. So when one of the local stores had Operation Live Crime for $5, I'm just like, I'll shut up and pay that.
That's worth checking out for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. This is prime era Queensryche, of course. It's essentially the entire album played start to finish as they did for that big tour. And yeah, it's Queensryche. It sounds good. I'll say, I think maybe you lose a little bit of the concept, because this album, of course, is very carefully put together, with all the effects, the spoken parts, and everything. And it does feel like it probably loses a little something in translation in the live environment. But the band still sounds very good playing it. You just don't have quite the same vibe in a live environment as you do when you can piece it together very meticulously in the studio.
Perfect, yeah.
The way that you want to. And yeah, that's it's a very intricate album. It's one that people to this day still debate back and forth some about what's going on in parts of the story and what's the meaning of this line or this chorus or this verse. So yeah, it's prime Queensryche, and it was cool to finally check out Live Crime. So yeah, just note to folks out there, if there are live albums that you like and want to pick up, hang on to those, because those can be a real bitch to find years later, because they do not get reissued. You can find Operation Mindcrime and Rageful Order no problem, but the live stuff by bands like that doesn't get the same love later on. All right, Marty, what have you got here as we near the end?
Oh, I still got a pile here. Sorry.
Oh, okay. All right.
At the beer event I DJ'd the other day, I played Moonshield off of this genius album.
Oh, yeah.
The Jester Race. And, man, it pulled me right back into this record. I listened to it on the way home. Not on vinyl, obviously. But what an enchantingly great album. Holy crap. The harmonies, the songwriting, this is obviously In Flames. Evolving from where they started as just a melodic a Gothenburg Swedish band. But the songwriting really, truly got great on this album. The harmonies, the vibe, it's just a very catchy, moving album. This is definitely their best album in their catalog, as far as I'm concerned. The stuff that came after it, Colony and Clayman, they got a little poppier as they moved on past this album, and that's fine, but it's just not this record. This record is lightning in a jar. It's perfect record. So much feeling, so much power and passion. Great album. I heard Moonshield, the opening notes of Moonshield. I'm like, fuck, I gotta listen to this record on the way home. It's too good not to spin again. Essential classic stuff.
Yeah, it's one of those albums that just blew everyone away the first time they heard it.
Yep.
I really love the Subterranean EP that came out before that. It's very
great.
different style.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean it's not a full length album. But part of me really wishes they had made at least one album in that style, and to see what they could have done with it before they transitioned into that one. But it's a classic for sure.
That's the thing about that band is every time they release new stuff now, I just cry. Like yeah.
I quit.
I don't know.
I got off that train, and you look at the covers and you just know, they kind of fell into that new metal pit, and it's fine, but it's not my thing.
Yeah. I liked up through Colony. I really like. After that, I lost interest pretty fast. Clayman was passable, but the one after that, it was about. I think that was the last one I bought. Whatever it was, had a white cover. Reroute to Remain, maybe.
Yeah. Yep. All right, Rick. These little boys on while you're talking.
All right. So this is a Doom band. Cool little pickup. While Heaven Wept. And this is the Arcane on Earth. This is what's cool about this is kind of a compilation. I guess it's more of a I don't want to say B-side. It's just more just a mix of live material. So, obviously, they're split up, so I'm not able to see them live any longer. But this is a good way to kind of experience what the band is like. Really good U.S. doom metal. So anybody who's not familiar with the band, but yeah, this is one of those ones that if you want to, besides when you name good U.S. doom metal, I mean, people are going to bring up Solid to Eternus, but I think these guys, held their own too, with what they were doing. So let me see. Yeah, it's got some 7-inch material. Along with just a demo, some live stuff. So I just put it on, hit play, and just let the whole thing cycle. Just good stuff. So yeah, it can be a little hard to come by. I don't know how they are with the reissues lately with some of their stuff. I don't know if you know, Alan, but
yeah, I don't think
come
they
across
have
it.
Yeah, all their stuff got reissued around. Well, at this point, it's probably been 6, 7, 8 years. No, it's probably actually been slightly more than that. It's probably been closer to 10 or 11 years ago at this point. Because
I've not heard a word. Yeah,
it's
like you said. Great band. Check them out. We'll have it webs if anybody's not familiar. If you're looking for another good example of U.S. doom.
They're a band. They went through a lot of transitions. Their early stuff, was much slower, more mournful sounding in pace, and then they got a cleaner sound. And I think for me personally, that's when they really started to find their stride. And then after that, they got they did some albums that have like a very strong Fates Warning influence. With like Vast Oceans, Lacrimose. Where
and this is why I went to them, because like Solitude, who are obviously more in that Candlemass range. These guys kind of had their own little fork. With
these guys are a little more into the traditional metal side of things than Solitude do. But yeah, I did get to see While Heaven Wept play once at a real small venue outside of Atlanta, and I got to talk to Tom Phillips just a little bit before the show. Super nice guy. Has had a long, interesting musical journey. It's a real shame the band fell apart because they were doing some really good stuff. Vast Oceans, Lacrimose, was widely acclaimed when it came out. I thought the follow-up was very good when they got picked up by, I think they were Nuclear Blast with Fear of Infinity was good. But then the album that came out after that, it was kind of one of those albums where you looked at the band lineup and it's just like, there are too many people in this band. And it kind of showed, the songs didn't quite come together. And then it was just, I think the band may have just started to collapse under its own weight because you were getting, I don't remember the full lineup rundown, but when you start having like 2 keyboard players and a cello player and 2 guitarists and on, it's just like, that's a lot of people to try to keep on the same page.
That's the problem. That's what I see with some of the symphonic black metal bands with the really big lineups. You run to that problem. It's a little too much.
Yeah, but any of those classic While Heaven Wept albums are just really, really good stuff. Absolutely. Yeah, the original pressings have been hard to find and expensive for a long time. So
This is I've been showing a lot of high roller stuff tonight, so another high roller reissue. So pretty cool.
yep.
One of those
High
things you
rollers.
order from High Roller, you got to order a bunch to make the shipping worth it.
Yeah.
All right, Alan.
Let's see. I have played a few classic thrash ones lately. So one of those being a Fabulous Disaster of an album, which
Fun album.
is a very fun album. It's my favorite Exodus album, and I know most people are going to pick Bonded by Blood far and away, and that's okay. Nothing wrong with that album whatsoever. But this one for me is just a very fun listen. And I know it's got a few weird moments on it. People really hate the Lowrider cover for the most part. For me, it never bothered me that much because sometimes people forget thrash had this fun, theme that ran through it with bands like, Anthrax and Exodus. You could get away with stuff like that on a thrash album back then, and nobody made that big a deal out of it.
The fun was a very American quality to thrash.
Yeah.
I think the Europeans, like the Germans, took a very more serious, darker take on thrash, which is, anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, no, you're very much right. I mean, you can see it just in the apparel. I mean, the American bands, they're wearing high tops and board shorts and stuff, and the German bands, it's all leather and bullet belts, and
Yeah.
So yeah. You saw that even just the way they presented themselves. But
They almost start to resemble the South American bands. They almost look a little bit like Identity Crisis. I see a little bit of that combination. The thrash bands.
Yeah, that's a good point, Rick. Yeah, they do. They resemble South American thrash bands a lot more than North American thrash bands. That's a good point. But yeah, it's just an old favorite. Hadn't played it in a long time, but I always come back to it from time to time. It's the one Exodus album, that still gets a lot of spins here.
Good shit. I like Pleasures of the Flesh a lot too.
That's fair. That's fair. I haven't played that one in ages. I don't remember much about it these days. I saw a copy of it.
Good. I picked up Blood In, Blood Out recently. It's good. I like it.
Yeah. I saw a copy of Pleasures of the Flesh at the local record store recently. It's like, oh, I haven't heard that in forever. Maybe I'll pick that up. $70
Holy fuck balls.
for an original copy on vinyl of
Wow.
Pleasures of the Flesh.
Never mind.
Let's just put that back down very carefully.
Don't touch it.
That's okay. Yeah. Moving right along.
All right.
All right, Marty, what you got next?
No, I've got 3 left, and my buddy Austin, who is kind of new to Manila Road, has not heard The Deluge yet, so I played Divine Victim at DJing at Hammerheart, and played this whole album for him twice, and man, what a great album. This is the 3rd in the trilogy for Manila Road, being holy shit, Crystal Logic, this, and what was the 3rd one?
Open the Gates.
Open the Gates. Great album, great production, amazing cover art. Everything about this album is perfect. High Roller Records reissue. Divine Victim. The Deluge.
Deluge is really cool. Yep.
Hammer of the Witches. God, there's so many good songs on this album. If you're not a Manila Road fan, God, I feel so bad for you because it's such great, powerful, strong music. It could very much from the 70s. Shelton was very much a jammy guitar player. I mean, he was a great soloist, but you could tell he just kind of found a scale and just kind of rolled his eyes back and worked that scale over really good every song. He was a great musician. There's just a great jammy 70s feel to these Manila Road albums, along with amazing riffs. And this is kind of the King Diamond syndrome. People that don't like King Diamond typically do not like the vocals. And even Austin said, man, his vocals are just so strange and weird. But to me, that's what makes this band stand out even more. People either love it or hate it. Mark Shelton, you sound like a deranged wizard. Thumbs up to that. Good stuff.
Good
Rick,
stuff.
where are you on the Manila Road scale?
Oh, me?
Mm-hmm.
That's another band. It's like Halloween. I'm late to the game. with everything else.
I've been
You know,
working.
so,
I've
but,
been trying. You're another one. I've been on the project to get into Halloween. So
Yeah, no, you sent those CDs my way, and I've been listening to them, so I've been enjoying it. And I picked up the new album. Manila Road's another one, just because the discography is so daunting. Brian Arkham actually sent me a CD, so I'm working on it.
which one did he send you?
I've got to go back to the box, but yeah, he sent me a which one was that, Brian? Put in the comments.
Marty's like
I got quite a pile.
Marty's like the popular girl in high school who's always got to fix up her friends with her other friends. Just like, oh, you two would be so cute together. You've got to get to know them.
The thing is, there's so many bands that are influenced by them too that I do like. So it just doesn't make any sense, why I wouldn't be into them. Not that I'm not. It's just it never really got around to it,
Which
Atlantis Rising.
Atlantis Rising is their first album reunited. It's a great album. It's heavy. It's well produced. It's fucking great. Great riffs. Good album. I like. There's bands that I like and I listen to a lot and I love. I want my friends to enjoy them too, so I try to.
Oh no, it's all good.
Send it down the road. Have you gotten to that Gambling with the Devil yet? I
have. That one I almost put. I didn't want to put 2 Halloween albums on the stack tonight, so I went with Better and Raw instead. But yeah,
2, 3.
Gambling with the Devil's been getting. I'll say this: it's getting a lot more plays and it's staying in the player longer than Better Than Raw for sure.
It's good shit, man.
Anyway. That one is very. That one it took a long time for that one to grow on me. Not that it was bad. It's just like I think I told you. Every time I would sit down to start playing it, 3 songs in, the cat would vomit in my shoes, or the kid would get up, with a nightmare, or the smoke detector would go off. It took a long time for me to finally get through that album, but no, it's been a very good one. I'm liking that one quite a bit.
Hey, classy Lonnie, how's it going, man? I have the Deluge and Spiral Castle ordered. Right on. Good shit. All right, whose turn is it? I just talked, so it's Rick's turn.
Yeah, I'm next. This band, I thought I'd bring it up because this is another one I've been enjoying, but I also wanted to kind of plug the, I guess the label that put this out, and it's called Adirondack Black Mass. Probably can't tell from that logo, but they're based out of upstate New York, and they have a lot of good stuff. But this is one of the ones that they put out themselves. So this band is called Thaumaturgy. So I'll put in the comments. Thaumaturgy. Might as well be. So the album is called Charnel Gnosis. So this is the first EP right out of the gate. Really hard to see. It's one of those impossible to read logos, But this is a really good example of kind of what's going on now. I think the cavernous sort of death doom stuff, it's really big right now. Everybody's kind of putting out that kind of stuff. It's it's what's popular. And this is actually a one-man project right here. So put out by KT's, it's his initials. But you will never know it. It does not sound like a one-man project at all. You think it's a full band. The production on it's really tight, really good. But it also leaves a lot of space, for that sort of cavernous atmosphere at the same time. So again, I'll put the name down. But yeah, I'll also put down Adirondack Black Mass. They got quite a good selection of things. There's that little eyeball. Kind of reminds me of a Morbus Crohn or something like that.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, it's pretty cool. Thought I'd just plug them. But I think that this is one of those deals where I think if he puts out a full length with this kind of quality, probably maybe a step up, you're going to be hearing more from this band. I would think so. So really, really strong debut. This came out July 4th this year. So that's how I remember. It's that day I remember picking this up. So good stuff.
Sweet.
Very cool.
Okay. Alan.
All right. Yeah, another one. This one I picked up a while back. Listened to it, had to set it aside and circle back to it, and then it started to click. It is Butcher.
That's a good album.
Goats.
That's a good album.
It is a good album, and I figured out why on first pass it didn't quite click with me. I'd been playing the hell out of Bewitcher's Cursed Be Thy Kingdom before I got this.
I've got that too. I haven't played it yet.
It is really, really good. I loved that album quite a bit. It's one of my favorites from this year. And so then I played this, and my initial thoughts were like, kind of similar, going for that blackened speed thrash sound, but not quite as good. And so there was that kind of, it was like, oh yeah, okay, a little bit of a glitch. But once I set it aside, kind of got the Bewitcher out of my system a bit and came back to this, like, oh no, this one's quite good on its own too. It's a little different in the same zip code, but this one's good, especially the first half. It's exactly what you'd expect it to be. It's balls out. How metal can we be? Very over the top. But in a very tongue-in-cheek, fun way. Very catchy, very speedy. There's a good reason this album got a lot of hype last year when it came out. Fun stuff, very much so. Yeah, I just had to. I was comparing it to something I shouldn't have been too soon, and just needed to give it a chance to breathe on its own.
Reminded me of R Noir.
I'm not real familiar with them, so I can't say, but I'll take your word for it. Absolutely.
Black thrash with some maidenisms in it. It's really cool. It's a good album.
Yeah, if you want fun headbanging kind of crazy sounding metal music, and hey, we all need that from time to time. Bewitcher and Butcher, great examples you can pick up in that style.
That Butcher, it also kind of reminded me a bit of the more triumphant riff nature of like Destroyer 666. Really triumphant.
They do. They definitely have that sort of
real anthemic riff lines and shit in there. It's really cool.
Yeah, I can see that.
There's a band, Wraith from Indiana, pretty good. I think they fall somewhere along those lines too. Wraith.
That rings a bell, but I can't.
They fall into that sort of really dark thrash, fall almost on that blackened kind of style.
Yeah. Oh man, that's bugging me.
They just put out an album not too long ago, so but definitely worth checking out if you happen to like those kind of bands.
I'm gonna look that up because I have a feeling I've seen that or heard part of it. What you say was Indiana?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Let's see what we got here. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I want to check this out.
All right, next for me. Again, I'm trying to catch up with a lot of things YouTubers have been freaking out about, and this cerebral rot, excretion of mortality. Yeah, I gotta say, this album is pretty much a snapshot of what is going on in modern / old school wannabe death metal. It sounds like it's standard A tuning. It's really good, but it sounds like so many other bands right now in this style with this same kind of cover artwork. It's really good. I've got both of their albums now. I enjoy them both. But God, there's so many bands right now that sound like this. It's a thing. It's a thing. And if you like the thing, which I do, it's cool. But it can be a costly enterprise to fall down the rabbit hole to buy all this stuff. I think this album is probably a little bit better written than the first album. Seems a little more composed. It's really super heavy, down-tuned, sick death metal. The album cover art. My kid was looking at this today. He's like, wow, what's happening down here? I'm like, oh, maybe you shouldn't have seen that. Dad of the year. No, Simon, it's not just that. I like this shit. I think it's good. But I think there's a lot of bands right now that sound like this. And there's no denying that. It's fine. Go on Bandcamp. There's a million bands that sound like this right now. It's fine. It's the trend. It's good. And yep, I sing the praises of Halloween because I'm old and I've been with them since the 80s. It's the way it goes. And I've got an update coming soon with a bunch of stuff. I've been down the rabbit hole. I've been buying a lot of stuff like this lately. It's fun. It's cool. Is it original? It's fucking not original. It's fine. It's good. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm just saying there's not a lot of individuality going on in that scene right now. Hate me if you want, but that's the truth. There are no disagreements there. Right on. All right. Who's next? Rick, you're back.
Well, We don't hate you. I think what I do too is my Bandcamp's full of those digital versions of bands like that. You know,
Yeah.
I don't always buy physical. Like the Cerebral Rot. You know, that's another one. Yeah, I picked up a physical, but there are a lot of similar bands too that I do enjoy. But I'm like, I really don't need a physical for certain ones. I'm just like, I'm good with the digital. That's how I kind of keep up with that. You said you can go broke.
Oh, sure. No, it's a rabbit hole. You go down
like,
it. You know, us as collectors, we want to have it all. And there was a month where I was buying shit on eBay or on Bandcamp on vinyl, and I'd get them, I'd listen to them. I'm like, God, why did I fucking buy this on vinyl? You know, I like it. I think it's cool, but it's not going to. You know, I'm gonna reach for that old Sabat Dreamweaver album before I grab that, or I'm gonna listen to Agent Steel on Skeptic's Apocalypse before I grab that. You know, I don't know. It's just kind of where I'm at right now.
No, that's fair. Yep.
Yeah. A little change in direction. So you look at something like this, and what comes to mind? So this is a band. It looks like something that's kind of occultish, maybe ritual, kind of black metal, and you'd be right. This was it's called Missile Theist, for the glory of your Redeemer. So this falls under that whole like anti-religion, you know, anti-church style of black metal. So this is the first full length they put out. They put on the EP before this. This is quite strong. Although this is from Norway, but you don't get a Norwegian sound from this. These guys kind of remind me of the if you listen to a lot of those Icelandic bands, they have a very kind of unique quirk and sound to their character and the way they do stuff. It's very interesting, very dissonant style playing. So these guys kind of they kind of play in that kind of style. It's very, very good production, very spacey, very interesting stuff. It definitely sounds the way it looks. You know, it's got that sort of aesthetic. I even hear a little death spell in there. I know that's a very easy band to kind of run to and compare to when it comes to that kind of sound. But I think there's a lot more interesting things going on here too. So again, this is the one that dropped I think around February. Very, very strong. Again, if you like that kind of style, I think this is a really good one. But yeah, so
Rick,
this is hard.
Bands I have not heard of. It's great. I love it. Still to this day, you're holding there strong. I love it.
Oh yeah.
I'm running low on my stack, but yeah, I could probably pull some even weirder stuff. But I'll put it in the comments. Let's see, Missile Theist. I like how they don't sound like the other Norwegian bands either. I like how they kind of have their own kind of little thing going on. A little, again, that Icelandic influence. If you like bands like Zrine, for example, this would definitely fall in line.
Right on.
I'll put in the comments.
Alan.
All right. Well, again, on the commute lately, yeah, you know, it's Sirius XM, and some mornings it's good, and some mornings it's a whole lot of Slipknot. And
every time I turn on Sirius XM on sometimes even 2 channels, it's Metallica. It's amazing. Mm-hmm. Those guys have tons of airplay still.
Yeah, you definitely hit those mornings where it's just like, you know, it's Metallica, next to Megadeth, Sweating Bullets, and I'm just going to run the car into the guardrail now and make the hurting stop. I have noticed a little bit lately on Liquid Metal, they've been slipping in a little bit more classic thrash, which, hey, good thing. And they actually played Testament's Apocalyptic City the other day. Which, yeah, I had never heard that. I was just like, yeah, that's do more of that. And then they followed up with a Soulfly song. And let's see what's on Ozzy's Boneyard. Oh, great! It's Enter Sandman. I could hear this on every FM radio station in America right now. Thank you, Ozzy's Boneyard. I really needed that.
Well, especially now that they've reissued, like it's like the 30-year anniversary of that album. It's like, fuck! Every time I turn it on, it's fucking. Anyway.
Yeah. Anyway, but so yeah, Apocalyptic City got me thinking. time to circle back around to my favorite Testament album, and not the one most people would pick probably, but it's my favorite. It's Practice What You Preach. Really like this one.
That is shocking to me. Shocking.
I'm sure it's probably
the Legacy is the clear choice here, but that's a great album too. But
we will agree to disagree. And there's nothing wrong with the Legacy, but this is the one for me. Great set of songs, really tight start to finish, very memorable, heavy, catchy, well balanced. I like this album just start to finish. It's really.
I think the way you described it, it's why some people may have a problem with it. Is they got a little more, I guess, commercial sounding, a little more digestible.
Slicker. Very slick.
Yeah.
It is, but it's still very solid. You know, it's still a very, very solid thrash album from its era. It's not a Black Album kind of wants to be a thrash album, but is really meant to be sold, to cheerleaders and guys buying kegs with their older brother's fake ID to have a big backyard party when mom and dad are at the beach house this weekend in the Heights or whatever. I'm rambling, but no, it's a solid thrash album. It's really, really good. And there's really
I like it.
Most of those early Testament albums are all pretty good. Which one was the New Order is the one that for me was always a little bit of a miss. It wasn't terrible, but it just didn't seem to be as strong as the other ones around it. But no, Practice What You Preach. It's at the top of my list for those classic Testament albums. And yeah, most folks are going to pick the Legacy. I get that. I've got no problem with that. But I'm going to rank them slightly differently. So that's the one I had to go back and revisit once they heard Apocalypse.
It's great. I love that album too. The first three are great. Love them. But yeah.
I don't know what it is about, and I haven't heard New World Order in ages. Maybe I'd like it more if I went back and played it now. But I remember at the day, it was one of those albums I really wanted to hear because I had the other three, and for whatever reason I couldn't find World Order, and I finally found it. I was just like, yes, finally, and I got it. I just remember I was like, well, it's okay, but doesn't feel like it's quite. It never felt like it was. It was always like a distant fourth compared to the other three. So that's just my Testament rankings.
I kind of agree. Yeah, I kind of agree. The first one for me is the Legacy, then Practice What You Preach, and then the New World Order. I think is kind of a good. It's a good ranking for sure. But
fair enough.
Anyway, for me, my last one. Ian from this band sent me this record. He is also in the band Nemeris, which is on Byron Recordings. He's got a death metal band called Vasivus. Vasivus. This is on Profound Lore. Super sick, dark English death metal in the very much in the spirit of the English death metal, the darker stuff. Like there's a little bit of Paradise Lost in this. There's a little bit of Prophecy of Doom in this, but more of a modern heavy death metal. This is their most recent Annihilism. Really good stuff. He was also the drummer in the band Woden's Throne, which was also on my label back in the day. Moved on to Candlelight and then disbanded. But
I really like the art.
Yeah. What's that?
I really like the cover too.
Yeah, it's good. It's really good, solid death metal. Really sick, deep vocals. Good English death metal. They're kind of the darker side. Like I showed Benediction earlier, which is pretty simple, old school stuff. This is a little bit on the darker side, a little more advanced, a little more modern, I guess, but with that old school vibe, which is very cool. Check it out, Vasivus Annihilism. Rick.
This is a cool one. So this is one-man melodic black metal. So think, again, bands like Dissection, maybe Sacramentum. So this is Sinira. So Sinira. Yep. So it's put up by Northern Silence. I got lucky. Hell's Headbangers had it there that one day and snagged it. And yeah, so you can kind of, I think they nailed it with the artwork. You can kind of the way the artwork looks is how it feels. As far
very
as
cool record. Very cool cover.
Yeah, it's a good album.
the Everlorn. So again, yeah, based out of Texas. You wouldn't know. You'd think it'd be straight out of Europe.
Mhm.
Huh.
So
Yep.
yeah. So it came with these cool little printed inner sleeves. So yeah, like dark. Really good production. Again, just the musicianship, pretty amazing. A lot of these bands that kind of imitate that style, but I think, like you said, it's one of the better ones to come out, especially this year. So yeah, really good stuff. Northern Silence puts out a lot of really good releases. Just a pain in the ass getting their stuff here.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that's an excellent one, Rick, and you're right. It very much feels like a Dissection clone, almost like a Dissection tribute band, but it's very well done. Ben's talked about that one and featured it over on his on Brain Smasher channel before, and yeah, it's a really good release. There's been, I know he's had to send out a lot of updates that they've had trouble getting merch from the distributor to him. He's had to send out a lot of updates that there's been a lot of shipping delays and stuff. So that's cool that you actually found a copy of it.
yeah, my eyes were like this when I saw it. It's like, all right, better snag that shit now. It's going to be gone.
Where'd
in
you
an
get it
hour.
from?
Probably was Hell's Headbangers.
Oh,
He just happened to have it. I wasn't even looking for it. He kind of just showed up. I was like, fuck.
Nice, good find.
I had a budget, and then out the window.
Yeah, fuck the budget. Budgets are stupid. All right, Alan.
Oh, let's see. Well, you've already done your last, Marty. I'm good to stop right there myself. I can grab one more thing if I need to.
If you want to, go for it.
Okay. I did pick these up recently, and they were pretty. Was pretty happy to find a thing that. It's easy for some of us old timers to think, oh, you see that all the time. That's not a big deal. And then you stop and think about it. It's just like, I haven't seen a copy of that in the wild in fucking forever. I'll just do them both together. Got originals of these at the local store.
It's like a Christy Lane commercial. The one day at a time, Sweet Jesus song starts. The cloud opens up and a ray of sunshine shines down on your face. Your smiling, beautiful face as you hold two of the best metal albums ever made.
Yeah. One of the guys that runs one of the local record stores went to the big Austin, Texas record show, which was just a week or two ago. And, it's widely billed as the biggest record show in the country. And he picked up a ton of heavy metal vinyl stuff. So, again, look for a collection update video in another week or two, and I'll show off a lot more of this stuff. That was an expensive afternoon, I'm not going to lie.
Yes.
I didn't buy everything. I couldn't. Some of the stuff he had I already had. Some of it, the condition, there were two albums I really wanted, but the condition wasn't quite good enough for me to buy them. But yeah, there was some nice stuff, and these were right up there. So yeah, I had never had Spectre Within on vinyl before. I've had 2 or 3 CD copies of it, and both of these, they're in great shape. They've got the original insert sleeves with them. And then of course, Awaken the Guardian. Funnily enough, I had this on vinyl before, but it was a really weird copy for a couple of reasons. One thing was it didn't play well. It had a lot of background crackle and stuff in the vinyl, and this is not an album where you want to be distracted with surface noise on the vinyl. So it was real irritating to play that copy. And that copy, it was also fully autographed by the lineup that did Pleasant Shade of Grey.
Oh, that's so dumb.
One of the very random thing. It was, and it wasn't just random. It was a buddy. I saw them on that tour, and so did one of my friends. And he got it autographed, and gave it to me through my girlfriend. He was like, "Hey, you're probably looking for it was close to birthday time," and so he gave it to her. He was like, "Here, give this to your boyfriend, and he'll take good care of you for a long time." But yeah, so it was neat, but it was autographed by the wrong lineup, and it was not a good sounding copy. So I eventually got rid of it. So it's kind of cool to get it back on vinyl because, yeah, as you said, Marty. Really strong stuff. Some of the tracks on Awaken the Guardian are, among some of the best metal songs ever.
That's like a top 5 album for me. Top
Yeah.
5 album ever.
I wouldn't have it quite that high, but I mean, it's an excellent album. It's John Arch, really spreading his wings as very few people can.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'll wrap up on those two really cool vinyl finds. Those are only 2 out of 7 albums I pulled out of the store that day.
Oh, I can't wait for that video. That'll be a fun one.
I'm glad you pulled that.
I can't wait for that credit card bill because motherfucker, I'm in trouble.
What were you gonna say, Rick?
No, so I'm glad you pulled that. 'Cause I know what my last one's going to be based on what you just showed.
All right,
You're up, Rick.
bring it on home, Rick.
Am I?
You're
I
up.
can go before you if you want. All right.
Oh, no, I'm
So-
done. I'm done.
I got this at a thrift store of all places, and I saw it sitting there like I never ever see anything like this. So
You feel my
I got a
heat.
whole story
You feel
around
my
this.
touch.
So this is a liege lord,
Oh, nice.
Lord of my touch, and this is done by that same artist who did the Fates Warning.
Yep.
What was it, Ionessus or whatever his name is? Really cool.
I don't
It's just
remember. Yeah, I don't remember them. They did a bunch of they did some of the Warlord album covers. They did a bunch of Metal Blade
Yep.
ones. Yeah, that's a nice find.
yeah, and it plays well and everything. It's got the old school Metal Blade, everything. So
You got this
I
at a
don't know
thrift
if-
store?
I got it at a thrift store. It's fucking sitting there.
Fucking-
And yeah, I had a really good day. I want to make a video around that, so I'm a little delayed. But this was one of the items. But I figured, you know what? I'll just pop it out and just show you guys. So I got a really, really good deal on it. But yeah, it was just in there. It's got a little bent in the corner or whatever. But
Whatever.
other than that, I mean, it's in pretty good shape. But yeah, it's not their strongest album, but still pretty good. And it's the band that is still listed as active, even though they haven't put out anything since like '88. So I don't know, but yeah, it's one of those deals. But just yes, it's really good, classic heavy metal.
Yep. Solid
Based
solid
on,
album. Yeah, and that's the kind of thing too. Again, that you think sometimes we'll think like, oh yeah, that's that's a good pickup. That's what $10-15 album. You can't find that damn album anymore, unless you're Rick. So yeah, that's awesome.
Well, I think what happened, somebody did some purging and did not realize what they had in the box and kind of just threw it in there. And several things have to go in my favor for this to happen. I came in, I went in like 8 a.m. that day.
Yep. Yeah,
Bam.
you got to just be the first in line. That's what happened to me. I was one of the first folks that had stopped by after he got back from Austin and unpacked the stuff he'd bought in Austin, and so it's all sitting there. It's just like, whoa. Some days you show up at the right time.
Well, if you got that at the thrift store, I can't wait to see what else you found at the thrift store, because where there's smoke, there's fire.
You'll know soon. I got something cooking up.
And
I
the beauty of it is, it's the right place at the right time. I remember back in the day, my buddy Jay used to work at a record store downtown that was owned by Bob Seger's touring manager. He would call me. He's like, "Hey, some guy just dropped off his metal collection down here." I'm like, "Yeah?" He's like, "Yeah, you might want to come down. We won't put it out until you pick through it." I'm like, "Yeah." I'd beat cheeks down there, and Mike's wife Teresa, she didn't know what the hell she had, so she put $1.99 on stuff. I'd come out of there with 20 fucking records. It was great. It was the right
That's
place,
what you
the right
hope for,
time.
right?
Yeah.
You that's what you're secretly wishing for. It's one of those times,
Yep.
but you can't quite plan it. It just happens, and you
And
just got to be that guy to be
there'd be
there.
shit I'd leave, like Jag Panzer's Ample Destruction, $1.99 original press. I'm like, I'll come get that next week when I have more money. I come back, of course it's fucking gone. I'm like, fuck.
Yeah, I know better now
Yeah.
than to do that.
You see it, you buy it.
Yeah.
You see it, you buy it. That's the fucking way. If you can do it, do it.
That's
If you
always with
can't,
this. I'm like, I got that. Like, no one's gonna believe me. I got this fucking thrift store, but
That's crazy.
crazy.
That's a
Thing.
weird thrift
was-
store acquisition. Weird.
it was sitting there.
Yep. You never know what kind of stuff you pull out. It's the kind of thing where, if you collect long enough, you're going to have those moments where it plays out and you find the great record.
And that's what
in
makes you hungry
crazy
for
place.
it. It makes you addicted. It's like going to the casino and hitting $1,000 on a slot machine. You're like, I'm going
Yep.
back there next week. I can do that shit again because I know what the fuck I'm doing. Well,
Yep. You can. It can wear you out because for every one of those you find, you'll dig through a lot of boxes of nothing but Kevin
Yeah.
Carpenter and Perry Como Christmas albums.
Yep.
And,
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, but you find those good ones, and it's definitely worth it.
The only
That's
thing
great.
I've ever found, I used to watch Lazarus. Dwayne is his name. He's Lazarus on YouTube. He was one of like the main guys that got me started doing this. I used to sit and watch him talk about all these things you would find at Goodwill. The only thing I ever found at Goodwill was for 50 cents, a Mechanic 2-song Violence single on vinyl for like 50 cents.
Neat.
Off of the Eternal Nightmare album.
Yep, that's cool.
It was a cool acquisition, but it's not, I've got the album. Both songs are on the album. It was a radio promo.
Mm-hmm. That's still neat.
It's so cool. I mean, it's the only thing I always dig because of that one find. I always dig when I go to fucking Goodwill, but it's always Christmas albums and religious bullshit. It's like,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
The most I hope for is maybe some AOR or whatever, some of that. But that's the most I hope for.
Yep. Yeah, one of my friends who's been a record dealer for a very long time. Yeah, that's what happened to him, Marty. He went into just a thrift store one day, found it was like an old blues album that he bought for 50 cents, and he flipped it for $500.
Oh.
And it's just and I haven't stopped looking for things since.
Nope. There's always the golden carrot.
Yep.
Must follow the golden carrot.
They are out there, but yeah, you got to dig. You got to pay your dues, and they're few and far between, but they are out there.
Yep.
Well, because of that, I learned the Barbra Streisand catalog pretty well.
Linda Ronstadt, another one. And Eagles.
Yep.
Eagles turn up there a lot.
Olivia Newton-John. Yep.
Found an Agnostic Front Victim in Pain OG Gatefold LP for 50 cents. That's a good find.
Cool.
Jeez.
Yep. Metal Heart from By Accept.
Ugh.
Very nice.
Yep.
Diamond Lights EP. Very cool.
Well, shit, boys. We made it. 3 hours later, we got through a very sizable What's Spinning stack. It's been a lot of fun, and we're still at 50 viewers. We've been between 50 and 65 all night. Thank you, everybody, for hanging with us. And I want to say, Rick, we understand your struggles. We love you, brother. And thank you for joining us tonight. And salute and much love to the memory of Van. Rest in power. And
it's a rough month, but you guys, as you guys have been very comforting and understanding and with everything. And this is another reason why I do what I do, So thank you, everybody.
Well, we love you, man. And
Absolutely.
This soon will pass, and keep moving forward. That's all we can do.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and thank you for joining us this evening. It's fun with 2, but it's better with 3. Absolutely.
That is right.
Yeah.
I just had a 2 girls, 1 cup joke, but I'm going to let that slide. It could have been never mind.
Oh, man.
Anyway, cheers, everyone.
I'm not going to think about that anymore. We're just not. No, we're not going there.
Happy Halloween. Next week we'll be back. We've got people in the pipeline. We're not going to talk about them yet because we don't have anything lined up yet, but some cool shit coming.
You're putting the monkey suit back on.
No, monkeys. Mojo is just waving goodnight to the crowd. He's done his thing.
Happy Halloween, everyone. Have a good, safe night. Take care. Thank you all for joining us. We love you. Take care.
Everybody take care. Happy Halloween.